We have a star-studded lineup today. We are so excited to bring you the speakers that we have. Today we have Jason Frazier on Originator 2021. Jason is the Chief Strategy Officer at EPM, and he also is a Gary Vaynerchuk speaker from Agent 2021. And we all love Gary V. That is where I met Jason backstage at the Miami Garden Stadium in a room with Gary V, because I was also speaking at that event. Super exciting. And the rest is history, as you know. So, and my co-host of Mortgage X podcast as well. The main event, Barry Habib is coming on with Your Time Is Now. He is the most sought after economic advisor in the banking industry, an expert for CNN, MSNBC, and all the major newscasts. You're going to get his forecast today to help you with your businesses. You're going to hear from Laura Brandao on the power of execution, president of AFR, two-time Women with Vision national top women in the banking industry. Really excited to have Laura speak. She is dynamic and exciting, and I always feel like running through walls when she's done speaking. And CEO of Nexa, Mike Kortas, the man himself with the fastest growing brokerage in America, is going to be talking about no excuses. So with this, I just need a confirmation that everybody can see my screen with the PowerPoint up that says, what's the big deal? Give me a head shake, yes, and we're going to roll forward. Excellent, thank you. All right, wow. So we start with a little reflection. You know, when we hold events in our future, I want you to know they're like Las Vegas shows. So we love to put on an amazing show. Last year in September, we packed a ballroom and we put on a show that was very memorable. Who was there? Chat if you were there at that event. Love to see who's here today that was back there with us in September of 2019. That was an amazing show for us. And we will be doing that show again, the Vision Summit in March 31st of 2021, we hope. And so, of course, we had events planned this year that did not happen. And so today we're holding this virtual event, and we thank you all for coming. This event is being recorded, of course, and will be played back for all the people that registered who could not make it live. It is a 3-hour event, so if you have to come in and go out, we understand. We will have breaks in the event that you can walk away. We will stay live the entire 3 hours. So let's think about this year. Man, I was looking at some videotape. Have you ever heard about sports people watching the playback tape of an event, right? I was looking at some videos with my video guy, Michael Brown, who is here with us, that does our sound bites and video for our social media. And we were looking at March of this year. Well, I want to tell you, when I looked at it, it made me emotional because my message was very somber and very surreal. It brought me back already to the time in this year when our entire universe got shook, when the environment economically was very volatile at the beginning of March, and then boom, with a 1-2 punch, here comes pandemic and shuts us all down. And so much uncertainty, so much questioning of where are we going? What is happening? Is this really happening? And so when I think about the reflection of this year, I want you to all know we're living in a historic time. We are alive in a year that will be talked about for decades, centuries probably to come. What brought up the 1918 plague into the forefront? I read an article in a newspaper out of Colorado, end to end, about the 1918 plague. I'm sure whoever wrote that article in 1918 for the newspaper would not know that myself in 2020 would read it. So I know it's going to be a historical year. And I know that we will have all had our perception of that year. Here are some of the images that will forever be burned into the minds of our existence. A disease that we did not know would come. Sports with no audience. Riots. a controversial presidential election, the loss of a famous, iconic athlete, tragic loss, the hoarding of toilet paper. Who would have thought that all these things would be things that we would remember, and so many more. And how about that image in the upper left-hand corner with us locked in our homes, working, isolated, immobile. And yet here we are, a country on the move, finding our way, adjusting. I just watched my first television program last night with people in the show wearing masks. So produced parts of a series that have caught up with the times and now are forever in the imprint of what we're doing, our new norm, as we call it. I love this quote by John Lennon. I'm going into an unknown future, but I'm still here. And while there is still life, there is still hope. I love the things that inspire us. And through the year, I drew upon my ability to be a light or voice or commonplace for all of you to come for advice for your businesses, to help you stay focused, to help you find your foothold in an ever-changing environment. And when I thought about it, building this presentation and what I wanted to tell you about going into 2021, I realized that it was the staples still. You know, when I read that article about 1918's plague, they said that the way that they combated the plague was by wearing masks, socially distancing, and staying in their homes. And I thought, it's been 102 years and the evolution of the human body has not changed. The world around us is forever changing. We are so far from where they were. They had hospitals set up in places with stretchers, but they didn't have warehouses. They didn't have the hospitals that we have today or the modern technology to save the people with devices in the hospitals that would help them breathe. They didn't have that in 1918. So here we were solving the problem in exactly the same way that they were seeing the problem 102 years ago. And so many times in our businesses, when we go forward, we're searching for the answers to the future in a different way and not realizing we got away from the things that made us successful in the first place. So many times we give up on the basics, searching out new ways and new ideas without properly measuring our ROIs on the things that are working. I'm sure today, as you listen to the speakers, you're going to hear a lot of incredible advice. And I'm sure that you're going to take away nuggets that pertain to your business or motivate you or inspire you. I always say learning is twofold. It is discovery and enlightenment, but it is also affirmation. Discovery and enlightenment is, I learned something new. Our mindset and ability to know that we will always be learning is a beautiful thing, that we'll always be reaching, that we'll always be reinventing ourselves, that we will always be resurging, overcoming, and pushing forward. And through those things, we will be reminded of things that we do well or should be doing well, or that we knew. That's affirmation. And affirmation allows us to put our foot on the pedal of our lives and go faster, harder, more assuredly. But foundationally, the things that bring us back are the things listed in front of you right here. Preparedness. How prepared were we in March for what was happening? Well, today you're here getting ready for 2021. You showed up today. You want to know. You want to be a good advisor to your businesses. And so you're getting prepared. I teach you to be prepared. We prepared for this event that's happening right now. And we prepare for all the days that come ahead of schedule. We plan. We operate from a plan, which is more than just writing a plan. It means holding that plan firmly in our grasp and reviewing it daily, weekly, and monthly. It means with the plan. It means revisiting and tweaking the plan, but it does not wing it. If you are winging it right now and you are not anchored to a plan that has measurable milestones, daily, weekly, monthly, all you're ever going to have is your personal belief system as to whether you're doing good or not. And one thing I know about our internal wiring is it lies to us. Sometimes it tells us we're doing great when we're not. Sometimes it tells us we're doing bad when we're doing good. But numbers, milestones, mile markers, they don't lie. They tell the story, they tell the distance. It is the language between our seats and our leaders. How many of you speak a language to your leaders that is in measurable, quantifiable numbers? In other words, hey, boss, I'm doing great out here. I have so many things going on. I have incredible momentum, which all are words and a feeling expressed, and that's great and that's positive. But the same conversation could sound like, hey, boss, I pulled 20 credit pulls this week. I finished that project a week ahead of schedule. I made $20,000 more than I expected to make this month. Those are what plans are made of: numbers, things, quantifiable, measured, accountability. In every way that people excel, accountability is a part of that conversation. If you hire a physical trainer, you're volunteering for someone to hold you accountable to working out. If you hire a coach, you can't get angry when I show up and say, where are you at? Because you hired me to be that person. Now let's flip that script for a moment. What if you are the person that is supposed to be accountable to somebody else? Who are you accountable to? Are you showing up? Did someone ask you to be accountable for something in their life, but it felt uncomfortable or awkward to ask that person how they were doing? It's really important that you have the ability to know that you're going to show up, that you can count on yourself, because the thing that we feel the most is ourselves. I say all the time, you have to inspect what you expect, and it is the number one most missed piece to success. When people ask me how I won or how I was successful on a regular and consistent basis, I say I was accountable to myself. My 14-year-old son, I hold him accountable to himself. So hear me. I've shared that when pandemic hit, he asked me what his curfew was and his alarm clock because he was homeschooling. And I said, you don't have a curfew and you don't need to set an alarm because we're not going to school anymore. You need to get the work done and you need to get good grades. And whatever that looks like is what you need to do. Because my job is to prepare him for the real world where I won't be. So I can be his accountability partner, but I can't make him be accountable to himself. Who are you accountable to? Who are you holding each other accountable to? Action. All the time I hear words. I talk so much. But I promise you, when I talk, I back that up with action. The distance between the plan and the results is the action. In the Blueprinting for Success, which every person working with us completes their business plan, there is a huge section that takes up the whole page. And it is the daily steps, action steps. What are you doing in your 8 hours? I was on a podcast this week and the guy said, man, you're everywhere. And I imagine you don't have much of a work-life balance. So the image I'm putting out is I just work all the time. And I'll admit, I work hard. But make no mistake, I stack my bricks in such a way that I am able to make and keep the number one priority in my life, my family. And so I step off and I make dinner and I eat dinner with them. And I'm present in my son's life. when I pick them up from school or on the weekends when we're talking. I don't work 24/7. I have lots and lots of people I'm talking to, but I'm stacking those bricks in such a way that I have people helping me do all of these actions. We can run in place and break a sweat, but go nowhere. Some of you are running in place in your businesses. You're really moving hard and working hard, but are you getting anywhere? These are the questions today that I want you to ask yourself about what needs to change. When I wrote the title of this event today, What's the Big Deal? I thought about what is the big deal? And to me, it's about the hours and minutes that we have each day, because each day adds up, and the days become weeks, and the weeks become months, and the months become years, and the years roll on. And then suddenly we're getting older, and our children are getting older, and our parents are getting older, and the time to take action and chase our dreams or the life we want gets closer and closer. Time is the one thing that we cannot squander. So I want you to think long and hard today about what the things are that need to change in 2021. What are the actions you're doing that are a waste of your time or that somebody else could be doing? And I know the answers you're giving yourself. You can do it better. You can do it faster. That may be true. I tell people all the time that in order to become Bill Gates or to go to the next level even, you have to be willing to hand the brick you're holding on to somebody else and be willing to let that person drop the brick. So it isn't about the ability to hand it off. It's the ability for you to accept that someone might do it less fast or less well. And so while that begs to argue about service, the idea is that you stand beside the person you hand the brick to, and you ensure if they drop it that you're there to help them pick that brick back up, and that you stay with them until they can carry that brick well. Because sooner or later, you will be able to walk away and go get a new brick. If you're trying to become the CEO of your business, but you are stuck in the mud of the work, you will never get out of that ditch if you cannot figure out the actions that need to be taken daily. Motivation. I've said from the beginning of time, we need to feed ourselves with motivation. We need to be able to totally inspire ourselves through our reading and what we consume. And it's through that we will get a sense of accomplishment. In a world of complex, high-paced, and forever-changing landscape, the staples of business will prevail and be omnipresent and powerful. The most powerful relationship you will ever have is the relationship with yourself. Are you working on yourself? How many times are we pointing fingers at the problems? The beginning video of this session about no excuses. How many times are we looking outward for the answers when they lie within? I've been underestimated as a competitor. I've definitely heard the naysaying early in my life as a child, questing towards dreams that seemed financially out of reach, dreams that seemed impossible, college and beyond. People that told me not to take a full commission job because it was crazy, right? We're betting on the long game, aren't we? Well, the long game's sweet. And I can tell you, it's worth the ride. So if you're on that ride and you're in a commission seat, like so many of us are, the bet you put on yourself requires you to show up, and it's the best bet you'll ever make because you control the outcome of that bet. When we point to other things and other reasons for our success, we also are giving away the responsibility and the authority to other people to control our destinies. When we believe our success is outside of our own reach or outside of ourselves, that becomes true. And that's the narrative that we tell ourselves. When you have had a taste of excellence, you cannot go back to mediocrity. We are forever changed by the things we learn. We can change our lives and businesses in one thought turned into action. How many things today do you need to unlearn? How many of you are doing things that are inherent to you from a childhood that are hurting you, that you need to change? You're aware, but the hard work that needs to go in to make those changes aren't being taken. The hard steps that you need to take to change aren't being taken. Those are the things that we're searching for. And where are you going? Are you going to be one in a million or one of the millions? The odds are against you. Failing is easy. It's inexpensive too, by the way. Costs nothing, no time, no energy. If you want failure, everybody's got it. We come embedded with the ability to fail. It's in our autopilot, in fact. Succeeding is expensive. It takes time. It takes integrity. It takes action. It takes thick skin. If I was deterred every time somebody told me to go back, turn around, that where I was going was too hard, leaving the mortgage industry to start a coaching company that was already saturated by millions of people. If I didn't bet on myself, if I didn't know I could get in there, grab market share, if they didn't see my vision, I understood, but I drowned out their voices. First chapter in my book, Wise Eyes, avoid the noise. In order to succeed, you need to be able to withstand the noise. And too many of us cower to the noise. Too many of us listen to the naysayers. Those people can be in our families. They can be in our inner circles. They can be our best friends. They can be coworkers who don't want to see us leave them to go to the next level. They can be bosses who don't think we're ready when we believe we are. You show me a guy that stands in front of me and tells me with all his heart he can do something even without results, and I see that will in that guy's eye with no experience, I'll take him into that battlefield and I will usually watch him win by percentages, because will, I promise you, is the thing. So I end by telling you, you have to discover what winds you up, because I know the word why is overused. I know that that is a 2019 phrase, but man, it's still true. What is it? And are you ready to receive your success? Because right now, at this moment, you have to ask yourself, what do you want most? What do you want most? And will you take action in 2021? Here's what I know. We will be here for you. We will be beside you. We will help you hold yourselves accountable, and we will be that partner. I promise you. All right. Let's get on to the next speaker. I hope you got something from that, enjoyed that. I'm happy to have you guys all here. What a crowd. The next speaker that we have is dynamic and exciting. And I want to just make sure. And yes, Jason Frazier, you want to open your mic up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. I don't know that I see you though. You're not.
All right, hold on. Let me crack in here. How do
There
I look?
Let me
All
give
right.
you a proper introduction, everybody, besides one of my greatest, closest inner circle people who I met in one of the coolest ways you'll ever meet somebody. As I said, at Gary Vaynerchuk's Age in 2021, we were both speakers in the backstage of Miami Garden Stadium in the wee mornings of January 19th, 2019, with Gary V in the room. Let me tell you about Jason. Jason Frazier is an award-winning marketer, strategist, and technologist with more than 20 years of C-level expertise in marketing, strategy, and technology. He has been blessed to work for and alongside the most talented innovators, disruptors, and visionaries of Silicon Valley, affectionately known as the PayPal Mafia. Frazier currently serves as the Chief Strategy Officer for EPM, serves on the board of directors for the Utah Association of Mortgage Professionals, and is a marketing coach for the Next Level Loan Officers Coaching Group. Along with his full-time responsibilities at EPM, Frazier is also a podcast producer and host of The Mortgage X and The Mortgage Interrupt. Strategic advisor to Pitch Hub and marketing advisor to Lender Price. As a highly sought-after public speaker, Frazier has made appearances at notable conferences such as Gary Vaynerchuk's Agent 2021, Inman Connect, Mortgage Mastermind, AIM Fuse, NAM National, Remagine, I'm saying that wrong, CMLA conditions, and I haven't had enough coffee, CMBA, MBA, and Housing Wire Engage. Let's give a warm welcome to Jason Frazier.
Thank you. Do I have control to, because we have somebody that's unmuted? Well, you're muted now, Christine. All right, looks like everyone. All right, so it looks like.
Are you asking me if you have control of sharing? We have sharing open today.
Okay, no, there was someone that was unmuted,
okay.
So okay.
Got it.
All right, great. Well, hey, Christine, thank you for that introduction. So it could only go downhill from here, but thank you so much for having me. And you know, let me share my screen here. Let me get my presentation going. And all right. So you know, as a tribute to where Christine and I first met, which was at Agent 2021, Gary Vaynerchuk's conference that we spoke at, I have named this session Originator 2021. Right now, if you happen to not be an originator, that's okay. You know, I've the last few years also have you know, coached agents, done a lot of agent masterminds, spoken at Inman Connect. So agents, anyone can take what I'm about to say and use them for their business. Right now, obviously, I only got a half an hour, so I'm not going to be able to go into too much in depth in some of these things, but really this is about a mindset and how you need to be thinking, not just about 2021, but also about the next decade, right? And so, you know, to start this off, one is understanding that the Originator 2021 mentality, so to speak, is all about not being dependent on others for your business, right? It's never, you can't build a mansion on rented land. You can't be completely dependent on other people for your business. And this especially goes for originators that are 100% dependent on agents, or a large part of it, and has nothing to do with, you know, agents being bad or anything. And so I don't want anyone to get that twisted. What I'm saying is that it's just not good to be dependent on them, because one is, you know, part, depending on the brokerage you're dealing with, some of that is competition, right? A lot of major brokerages have their own lenders, like, you know, KW and EXP and Remax and others, or strategic partnerships with lenders. So that is in essence competition, right? And then sometimes the partnership isn't really based on value. It's based off of whether you're paying for marketing or some other things, right? So you really want to have a true partnership. Absolutely find great referral partners and agents and create a true partnership. But you should also be wanting to get to the consumer first, so that you are in the first position with the consumer, so that you are the one, you know, giving out the leads and helping agents with you know, listings and buyers, right? And look, I've done a lot of masterminds with great agents and top producing agents, and they'll tell you that they would preferably not be the go-to shop for everybody in the industry to get leads from, right? They'd rather be on the receiving end of these. And then, you know, last but not least, you need to be relevant long-term to the modern consumer in the modern area, right? You need to make an impact. You need to be relevant. And so, I'm going to go through a presentation here, but honestly, for me, I love Q&A. I don't like doing presentations. I don't like doing slide decks, but I did it for this because I know a lot of people like to have something to follow along with. But I want you guys to engage. If you have questions, I would rather much answer your specific questions when it comes to marketing and strategy going into 2021. So if you have them, ask them in the chat or think about them. And then when we get to the end, I would love to just answer any specific questions. Don't go to sleep on me on this one. Like, let's stay engaged. I know it's early. Well, for me, I'm in Utah, so it's early-ish, in the morning. So let's have some engagement on this, right? 2 phrases that I want to die in our industry and 2 phrases that I want you to throw away from you. One is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's what's allowed disruption to come in both real estate and mortgage over the last decade and beyond. Having that mentality is what's held our industry back from disrupting from within and from doing the necessary enhancements and things that we've needed to do to reach the modern consumer and to be front and allowed fintech lenders and other entities to come in and disrupt that process. Think about iBuyers and whatnot, and work smarter, not harder. Right now, a lot of people will be like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'll get into that here in a second. Right. First of all, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Trust me, it's broke. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have lost collectively. I just looked at some numbers in 2019. When I'm talking about the traditional model compared to like fintech lenders and other sites, we're looking at 15, 16% market share, right? And that may not seem like a lot, but it is, and it's growing year after year. It's not like all of a sudden, hey, we have all this market share. Think about it as a pie, right? The smaller that pie gets, the more their traditional model has to fight for what's left, right? And we're continuing to do that by not reimagining the mortgage process, by not focusing on relationships, by focusing too much on automation to do everything for you to get in front of your clients. And I'll tell you right now, if you're not spending time keeping on top of your clients and building those relationships, those are no longer your clients, those are other people's prospects. Right. So you got to think about that. Your database is your bank. That's what's going to get you through. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everything is wrong and do not use 2020 as a barometer for what this industry is going to be. Every expert you talk to will agree that this has been something special and different than anything that's happened before. So don't use your success and things that have happened in 2020 as a kicking off point to saying, hey, this is how it's always going to be. It doesn't. The market always shifts and it always corrects, always, right? Always. So just think about that. So trust me, it's broke, right? But here's the thing. Look, because it's broke doesn't mean like, let's fix it. Look, don't fix a bad process, right? If you start with a bucket of dog crap, you could add in all the ice cream you want. It's not going to taste like ice cream, right? So there's no point in trying to make a bad process better. Let's reimagine it from the ground up. Right? Let's rebuild that. Let's reimagine what it needs to be, right? Nothing from the last 2 decades that we've built in the traditional industry, especially our marketing, is built for the future. And honestly, it's not even built for the present. We're basically trying to catch up. The things that we are doing today that lenders are passing off as innovation, when honestly, it's more iteration than innovation. But what people are trying to pass off as innovation or being modern is crap that other people and other industries that were doing 10 years ago, right? We're just catching up. So don't kid yourself to think that we're forward facing, right? Even the most modern lenders are still catching up to what the consumer is getting basically everywhere else, right? One, the work smarter, not harder, right? Now, again, yes, obviously you don't want to overcomplicate things. You don't want to overthink things. Yes, you want to be smart, but to me, what people have used this phrase for is an excuse to be lazy and look for the easy way out. Right? Work smarter and work harder, right? Because I guarantee you, if you do this as opposed to the work smarter, not harder, you will beat anyone else that is using that mentality to compete. Where are you going to stand out going into 2021? It's going to be your marketing, right? 0 to 1. It's a book written by my old boss, Peter Thiel, who's the founder of PayPal and a lot of other companies. It's where I came from. Christine mentioned that in the beginning. Our industry is commoditized. We have done a great job commoditizing our industry over the last decade and before, but really the last decade. And the problem with a commodity is you could get it anywhere. There's no way to differentiate yourself when you're a commodity. Think about gas. You may have an affinity for Chevron or Unocal or Shell or whatever, but if you need gas, you're going to get gas, right? That's a commodity. Doing that, and what we do is a commodity, but it doesn't mean that we need to commoditize what we do, right? I know it may be hard to see, but we cannot commoditize what we do, right? In order to stand out when you're in a commoditized industry, you have to be 10 times better at something, right? And I'll tell you right now, in the mortgage industry, you're not going to be 10 times better in price. You're not going to be 10 times better in products. You're not going to be 10 times better in service. You may be better in service 1 month, and then the next month you suck, right? We all saw that, this year with capacity and people trying to catch up and whatnot, right? You're not going to be 10 times better consistently. You may be better or worse depending on the market. Same with price, same with products. We all saw that during COVID and whatnot. Consistently, you cannot be 10 times better in all those three things, right? It's hard to just be even for a month, right? But you can be 10 times better in your marketing, right? As much as I will give, we'll dig a little bit on Quicken and others. The one thing you can is their marketing. They are experts when it comes to marketing. They understand what the consumer cares about. They understand where consumer attention is. And that's what everyone needs to understand is that, let's say, look, as an agent, you could be selling all your houses consistently over list price or within 20 minutes, right? It does not matter if you don't have my attention. If I don't know who you are, the chances of me using you are slim to none. If you don't have a presence on social media, if you don't have some sort of online presence, if you aren't rock solid with your database, so people are actually a super fan of yours and referring you to others, the chances of me using you are slim to none. Same goes on the originator side, right? You could have the best turn times, the best rates. If nobody's talking about it, if you're not present marketing wise, it does not matter, right? Before you could tell me any of this stuff, you have to have my attention, right? Period. So that's how you're going to stand out. Now, one thing that we need to do is we need to learn, we need to learn by unlearning, but we need to unlearn a lot of different things. We need to learn what we've been taught, right? Now, don't get me wrong, right? Look, people doing business back when you just had the fog of mirror, right? I'm not saying that it didn't matter. They've learned something. You can learn something from anyone in any type of market, right? But don't kid yourself, right? During each shift in each market, loans are being done in different ways. Marketing's being done, relationships being done, right? But one thing that is been consistently clear is that you need to stop marketing like you're in the mortgage business simply because consumers don't want a mortgage. They don't care about getting a mortgage, right? And a lot of people will be like, well, of course they do. No, and even Barry Habib, and honestly, this whole thing that I'm talking about, I got from Barry, right? Because nobody wakes up in the morning saying, I want to be $100,000 in debt. Nobody does that, right? Also, look, let's take it back about 5-10 years. Like the mortgage process is a lot better today than it was a decade ago or 5 years ago. But nobody wakes up going, oh, I want to do bank statements. I want to get you tax returns. I want to go through your freaking online, 20-page online application. Nobody wants to do that, right? Nobody wants a mortgage. What they want is the house, right? What they want is to achieve their goals and their dreams. Okay, that's what they want. They don't want the mortgage. The interest rate, yes, it's important. Now the difference is that they don't want a mortgage, but they need one, right? So there's a differentiator there, and it's important to focus on the need as opposed to the want, right? But not as your opening salvo of all of your marketing, right? They want the house. They want their goals and dreams. This is something that Zillow and Quicken do at genius marketing with what they do. If you look at their commercials and then you look at mainstream mortgage and real estate and what they put out there, Zillow's commercials are about the heart. They're about the families, the goals, the wants, the personality. There's commonality there, right? There's a reason why if you look at an industry website as far as unique visits and hits, that's why that nobody beats Zillow. Nobody beats Zillow as far as web traffic is concerned, and there's a reason, because they do their marketing right. They market it to the need or to the wants, right, and to the goals and dreams of the consumer. That's why they win, right? And we don't do that as a whole in the industry. All right. So again, and I get it. people are like, well, I'm not a marketer, I'm a salesperson, and I get that, but you got to have some elements of marketing in your business. You just have to, right? You cannot go in this business any longer without thinking that you're a marketer, because you are. And here's another thing. All of you, I don't care if you work for a big lender, I don't care if you work for EPM, I don't care if you work for whoever, you are you're commissioned, right? You are the CEO and small business owner of your brand, period, right? You are, because you're going to be that person that interacts with the consumer, with the agent, with every title, with everybody. You're going to be the face of that person, not your company. I'll tell you a story from, recently in a local Facebook here, someone had mentioned getting a refinance, right? In Utah, local Facebook groups are huge. And so going through all of those, because I went through all of them because this is good, studying for me, right? And research. Going through that, there was only one brand. This was hundreds of responses. There was only one brand that was referred, one big brand. And I guess you all could guess who that was. And that was Quicken. Only one brand. Everybody else referred an individual. That's what I mean by you're the CEO and you're the small business owner. They mentioned the individual. They didn't mention Jason Frazier at EPM. They didn't mention Jason Frazier at Quicken or Jason Frazier at Academy or Summit or Movement or Loan Depot. They mentioned the person, right? They didn't mention the brand except one, and that was Quicken. So just to give you an idea of how good of a job they want. So that's why you need to stop marketing as a mortgage person based off of things that you're comfortable with talking about, which is usually rates or programs or terms and that stuff. You could get to that, you could fold that in, but that can't be the only thing you talk about, right? You got to be focused on your marketing on what they need and what the consumer wants. Why did they come to you? Why do they want to refinance? It's not always about saving money. There's a reason why they want to save the money, right? Sometimes it's about saving the money, but sometimes it's about college, sometimes it's about relocation. So there's different reasons for why. Market to that, right? You market to the intent of the consumer. Market to the intent. Why are they coming to you? Why are they purchasing? And guess what? You should know what that is. If you're all of you should be utilizing a CRM, right? Whatever CRM you're most comfortable with and that you actually want to use, you should be using that. And you should be getting this information. The more you know about the consumer, not only are you going to be able to serve that consumer better, but you're going to be able to serve consumers and market and grab attention and make an impact to the consumers you don't know about yet. 3 things to focus on in 2021. Awareness of your brand. You got to build awareness. I talked about this earlier with if I don't know who you are, you have to have my attention first. You have to have my attention. Build awareness of your brand. Create content that makes an impact. Just don't regurgitate whatever is given to you to throw out there, right? Your CRM will do a great job of giving you a lot of cookie cutter stuff, and that's great. Something is better than nothing, right? I would argue counter to that in most cases, but something is better than nothing, but something of impact is better than all, right? You got to create content that will make an impact with who you're trying to reach, right? Think about, as a consumer, take off your hat of being an agent or a loan officer, whoever, title leader in this thing. What impacts you as a consumer when you're shopping for something, and specifically, whether it be a car, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a place to take your kids or your family, a resort for the vacation, whatever, what type of marketing, what makes it impact to you, right? And then traffic that you own. Because guess what? If you're buying leads from Zillow or Realtor.com, you don't own that, right? You could control it through paying, but the second you stop paying, you don't control it and you don't matter, right? So you want to own that traffic. You want to own that relationship, right? If you do these 3 things next year, starting today actually, but next year and through the decade, you are going to be far better off than those who don't. And here's the thing, right? I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll tell you right now, only 10% of the people that are on this call are actually going to do anything about what I'm saying, or Barry or Mike or Christine. We know this. We know that your colleagues, we know loan officers, we know, look, I've had these conversations. I have done this sort of talk since 2015 about disruption. and things that we need to be focused on, right? And I still get blowback. And I'll tell you right now, if right now you're sitting here watching me or any of these other speakers and you're saying, I want to see stats, if you truly need to see stats on the effectiveness of modern marketing on social media and stuff like that, you have already lost. You have already lost. Continue to stop going to conferences, stop trying to learn anything, get off this Zoom and just continue doing what you're doing, because obviously that's your comfort zone. That's fine, right? But I'm just saying, this is where it needs to go, right? We're not in some bubble where consumers act differently with us than they do anywhere else. A consumer is a consumer regardless of product. You could take that to the bank, right? So however, every other industry which has been disrupted, which would have told you the leaders, the experts, the gurus in the beginning would have absolutely said, no, this will never happen in our industry. The price point is too high, yada, 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 yada. They are wrong. We are wrong most of the time when it comes to an entrenched industry. We are. And look, everyone loves to use it, and also people love or hate hearing about it, about Uber and Lyft. But I'll give you a perfect example, all right? So I was speaking at Inman Connect when the iBuyer craze or movement started, right? Or the model started, right? And I remember being in the audience where it was Knock, there was Purple Bricks, it was Open Door, and another one were on stage and they're talking about it. Every agent was laughing and saying, oh, you know what? No consumer would ever do that. No consumer would ever do that because of the price point, because of this, because of that, because we know best, and blah, 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 blah. And again, don't get me wrong. This is not a pro iBuyer thing. I'm just saying everyone scoffed. Everyone said that it would not take off, right? Now, you guys could argue with the model one way or another. And again, that's not what this is about. But fast forward to 2019, not 2020, because they did take a hit because they showed the weakness. And I hope you guys paid attention to the weakness of their model when they tapped out in 2020. But in 2019, taking the Phoenix market, which has been pretty much ground zero for that, they had 10% of the market share. 10% market share of an industry that didn't even exist prior, against something that should have never even worked according to all the experts in the industry, right? We were wrong. Well, not we, I thought it would, but, and others did that have seen disruption in other industries, but we're wrong, right? We're wrong thinking that all consumers are exactly the same and they're all their experiences and what they want. And think about this, that 10%, right? And we could agree that you're not going to net as much selling to an iBuyer than you would as a traditional agent. But you get to think about that. 10% of them would rather make less money than use an agent. That should tell you something, right? And here's another stat. During that same time, right? During that same time, over 30%, and I think it was like 32%, somewhere around there, would get an iBuyer quote before even talking to an agent. 30%. In an industry that didn't exist 3 years earlier, right? On top of that, 65% would get an iBuyer quote and talk with an agent, right? So that's how quickly these things change, and that's how wrong that we are as an industry most of the time. So how can you do these things, right? I said I only had a half an hour, so I can't go into this stuff, right? But these are things that I've talked about. If you're in Christine's coaching group, I've done this stuff. You're in my coaching group, you guys have seen this stuff. Mortgage X Mastermind, I've done this stuff. $2 a day, build awareness. You could spend $2 a day on Facebook and build awareness. If you're not spending at least $2 a day on Facebook, building awareness of your brand, saturating your market, you are doing a disservice to your business for the long term, right? Content, and it's the easiest ad that you'll ever run. Content, social media, do it. It works. Right? That the battle's been fought. The war's been fought. Social media won. Whether we like it or not, social media won. Stop fighting against it, right? Video, engagement, traffic, blog, podcast, email list. Do these things. Own your traffic. Do these things. And I'm going to have, look, I've done podcasts. I have a free Facebook group, the Mortgage X Mastermind. You guys could join. We talk about these things. Doesn't cost any money. I'll go into depth in all of this stuff. All you need to do is ask, because I want you guys to win, right? But here's the real talk, guys. This ain't easy. This is a long game. You got to put in the work to build the machine. It's not easy. It's not quick. But if you spend the time now, you will spend less time later, right? Once you build the machine, all you do is maintain it. Not only that, but then you could outsource it. Just got to build it first, put your voice, your stamp on it, your brand on it, right? And then let it work for you, right? And just maintain it. But remember, guys and gals, success takes time, right? You want to be a success. Nothing happened. You know, there's that famous picture that goes around of Amazon in the beginning, right? You know, sitting in an office, you know, wood table, 17-inch CRT monitor sitting on there from like, 80s, right? Like, wasn't overnight. It takes time. All right, so here's a link, Mortgage X podcast. If you guys don't subscribe to that, that's Christine and I's podcast. It's great. We love it. Facebook. But if there is any Q&A, I don't know how much. I know, we're kind of started a little bit late.
So Barry's coming on any second. Awesome session. I was thrilled watching you talk. So thank you. You're always such a great presenter. I'm sure everybody loved that. Let's give him a virtual round of applause there. Yay. So again, this is great. I hope you guys are getting ideas for 2021. Christine Aramita, would you just tell me when you see Barry? Oh, I see Barry's on. Great. So we are in the perfect spot. Listen, follow Jason Frazier if you're not. Join our Mortgage X podcast if you haven't. Subscribe. We are putting out content every single week with industry interviews, and we're bringing you relative content in the way of very motivational and informational stuff. Follow Jason. He's on all the major social medias, puts out a ton of content with his letter X and so on and so forth. We're going to give away the first book, and then I'm going right into introducing Barry because his time is important and precious. So first trivia question, get your fingers on your chat box. We're giving away 6 of these books. This is the first trivia question. We will be giving away a whole bunch after Barry ends up finishing up within the hour. So it is all different trivia questions, everything that you can imagine on Jeopardy. Here goes the first one. First person to put up the correct answer, my team will write back, will write who the winner was. The first person to type the correct answer will win a copy of Money in the Streets from Barry Habib. The question is, what is the rarest M&M color?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we'll let that go. And when Barry's done, Christine Aramita will look back at the hundreds of answers to who wrote the word brown first, by the way. I guess that'll slow down the feed because that was the correct answer. And now I want to introduce to you someone very, very special to me. I've known this man for many, many years. He knew me when I was in my seat as the vice president of national sales with Annie Mac Home Mortgage. We have been running along in the industry, sharing stages. He was my main feature and speaker and keynote at the Vision Summit in September of last year, which was amazing. I've seen him speak all over, but I want to read his formal bio because I don't want to miss a thing. And I want you all to know, and I know you know how great he is, but I want you to know everything. Barry Habib is an American entrepreneur and frequent media resource for his mortgage and housing expertise. Amazon's #1 best-selling author for his book, Money in the Streets. Frequent appearances on CNBC and Fox. CEO of MBS Highway, the industry's most highly regarded and recognized tool for transforming salespeople into advisors. His notable awards, 2-time Crystal Ball Award winner for 2018 and 2020 by Zillow and Pulsonomics for the most accurate real estate forecast out of 150 of the top economists in the US. 2019's Mortgage Professional of the Year by National Mortgage Professional Magazine, 2019 finalist for the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year. He has made many successful businesses across different verticals: Mortgage Market Guide, Healthcare Imaging Solutions, Certified Mortgage Associates, founding partner in Social Survey. During his mortgage sales career, Barry personally originated over $2 billion. Lead producer and managing partner for Rock of Ages, the 27th longest running show in Broadway history. Produced Chris Angel's Mind Freak at Planet Hollywood in Vegas, and is the highest rated speaker and trainer for over 25 years in the mortgage and real estate industry. Allow me to welcome Barry Habib.
Thank you, Christine. But sounds like I need a shorter bio, guys. Sorry about that. How you guys doing? It's so good to see everybody. So many friends and familiar faces, and really great that Jason Frazier was on. He's a rock star. I see Mike Kortas is coming on. You guys got a full slate of really good people. And Christine, what a privilege to be with you. I'm one of your biggest fans, Christine. You should know that, because you do so much good in the world, and you're such a great leader, and you've got this amazing heart to want to help people. So thanks for including me on this. So everybody listen, I know your time is very valuable, so I want to be conscious of that. I want to try and jump right in. I just want to talk to you a little bit from the heart here. I've got some slides to go over because I think they underscore some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So look, you guys are obviously winners, because there's so many people that could have been on this, right? But you decided to take the busy time out of your day to get better. So you guys already possess the most important quality of being successful, is the desire to constantly want to get better and to improve. So congratulations. Thank you for being that type of individual. That's what this industry needs. That's what every industry needs, is people that just want to constantly get better. So when we take a look at that and we say, okay, what can we see ahead for 2021? I mean, goodness gracious, do you believe this is December 2nd? I mean, I woke up yesterday, it was like December 1st. I was like, what the, you know what I said? I said, how did we get to December 1st already? I was just really shocked that this year has passed by so quickly. And look, one of the things, I wake up every day and I say all the things I'm grateful for. And I think we all need to think about, while we each have issues, we all have problems. There is a lot to be grateful for. I mean, considering what has happened to the world and how our industry is doing well. So we're very, very fortunate. So it gives us a chance to help other people out and do good out there, right? And especially what you're doing now is to get yourself better so you can help people. As we look ahead, there's a lot of concerns. What's going to happen with interest rates? Now, if you look at the numbers, a lot of people are forecasting rates to go a lot higher. A lot of people are also worried about the housing market. I've been hearing this big drumbeat lately. Housing's not affordable. There's just a big article just yesterday in Housing Wire talking about that. But I'm hearing it all over. Diana Ola gets every other word out of her mouth. So customers get scared. Housing is not unaffordable. Housing has gotten more affordable. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll explain why. And then there's talk about there's going to be a crash, forbearances, foreclosures, all that stuff. And it's really designed to just scare people. Now, we've done a good job of forecasting the housing market and forecasting interest rates. And a lot of you, if you were with me when we were able to do this in person last year, we told you there was recession coming, and it did hit in February before COVID hit, before the lockdowns. We told you that the 10-year treasury was going to go to 1%, when it was at 2.8%. And I bring that up because I'm going to share with you today the same rationale that we've used to take a look at the markets and accurately tell where things are going, so that you can A, have a little confidence in it, and B, I really want you to be a teacher. So we're all students. I'm a student, right? I'm always learning, but I think it's really important to be a teacher, because first of all, it's the best way to learn. But each and every one of you should have that authoritative place in your market where the media goes to you, where your realtors go to you, where your clients go to you. And you have the ability to post on social media so easily and to do videos. So I want you to just assume that role of authority. And it's more important than ever, because look, all this public money, all these people going through IPOs and SPACs, all that means is that they're going to take this business and try and make it a commodity. They're already trying to do that, but they've got now a lot more money than we do to do this. So it's going to be tougher competition for us. So first thing is, when they try and make this business a commodity, they look at it and say, okay, so 2.75% or 3% with 0 points on a 30-year fix for a $300,000 mortgage. That's the same whether you go here, 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 or here. And the way that they're positioning it is they're positioning from the point of view or the perspective of the vendor. That's the wrong way to do it. You've got to position it from the buyer, or in this case, the borrower's perspective, which every single person is impacted differently by that monthly payment, by the amount that they're borrowing, by the amount of cash that they have or are using. That's the way that this narrative should be. So our role has to be one of the educators. So listen, in the first 10 minutes, people will gravitate to you or not. In the first 10 minutes. So we've got that first 10 minutes to make that impression on that customer, because there's an army of headset jockeys that want to make the experience the same as buying a flat screen TV. Okay, they have no clue on how to educate that customer on how this will impact their retirement, their cash flow, their savings, their retirement, their kids' college. They have no clue on how to do this. So all they have is price. And because headset jockeys get paid a lot less than we do, they have that advantage. So how do we combat that? We combat that by being smarter, by adding more value, because here's the bottom line. The lowest rate on the wrong strategy is much more expensive than a competitive rate. You all can offer that on a strategy and a game plan that will be right for that individual. You know, last year when we talked about, hey, listen, we think rates are going to come down. Don't take upfront MI. Don't pay points. Don't look for the lowest rate. Look for a rate that is higher with lower costs, because there's going to be a refinance opportunity. That's the advice you want to give. And then you marry that with their own personal goals and you become an advisor. So that's the goal here for us to be able to do that. So as we look ahead and we look at the housing market, a lot of this has to be focused. You know, it was an important lesson that I learned. I actually put it in my book. And one of the things I really enjoy doing is I enjoy driving cars. I enjoy driving cars on the racetrack. But with anything I try and do, I want to try and get good at it, and I want to try and learn it. You know, so I'm, again, always a student. So I've had many professional instructors take me for the day and just, you know, little tips and this and that. One of the best lessons I learned had nothing to do with actually driving the car, but it had to do with focus. It had to do where we look. Now, many of you probably do this because almost everyone does. When you're driving, if you notice it, if you happen to catch yourself, what are you looking at when you're driving? Most of us are looking at the vehicle in front of us. That's typically the way people drive. And the way we should be driving is we should be looking beyond that at the road ahead. But very, very few people do that. And my driving instructor said that to me one day. He says, okay, what are you looking at? I said, well, you know, looking right here. He said, no, you should be looking way down the road. I said, oh, really? And he stopped, he told me, had me stop the car. We pulled over, and then he took his water bottle. He took his water bottle and he put it about 20 feet in front of me, and he put it on the ground. And he said, okay, now look down at the water bottle. I said, okay. He said, can you read that sign ahead? And I said, no. He says, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the sign and tell me, can you see the water bottle? I said, yeah. He said, that's what will make you a much better driver. And if you think about it, doesn't that make sense? Because now you can see everything happening. You can be much more defensive. You can be much more reactive because you will see things happening sooner. And that's the name of the game, to avoid bad stuff from happening. Or if you're on the track, to be able to anticipate what the best approach would be. So if you do that while you're driving right now, by the way, it's a great driving tip and it'll make you a better driver. But if you do it in life, you can't help but become much more successful. But many of us are looking here. So what I want you to do today is all this great information you're getting and some of the stuff we're going to be talking about, I want you to just look down the road. So as we look down the road to 2021 and 2022, what we need to be doing is see the future before it becomes obvious and get ahead of everyone else. Because as I'll explain to you, more than 50% right now of all loans are below 4%. And if you agree with me that the typical trigger to benefit you on a rate and term refinance is about a 0.75% savings, I know it's not applicable for everybody. That means if mortgage rates went to 3.25%, you'd wipe out half the refinances out there. What's our plan for that? How are we going about seeing the future before all of a sudden it hits everyone? Because here's what happens in the mortgage industry. You know, people are busy, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm nuts, I'm crazy, I'm this and that. I'm just handling what I'm doing, just playing defense all day. And then if things were to slow down, the first thing you do is like, whew, wow, a little bit easier on me. I'm not as crazy anymore. I can enjoy this a little bit. I'm enjoying a little bit of a rest. But then you have the stress of needing rate locks before rates go up and this and that. You get through that crazy crunch. The money keeps coming in for a month or so after. But then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you're like, wow, I'm not very busy. And there's not a lot left in my pipeline. What do I do now? That point, it's going to be a little bit late. You have to start thinking about that date today. You have to start thinking about, how am I going to gain more purchase business and how am I going to gain more refinance business regardless of what rates do? And you could do that. So debt consolidation is a big one, and nobody's using that because what people have is equity. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to talk to you about what's going on. And we're going to go quick because, oh, well, we got Bob Moses up there. Okay. So great artist, great music if you like that kind of music like I do. But okay, here we go. First things first, the current market. Listen, the vaccines, when they come out, I'm going to go back and forth with you here because I want to talk to you about this. Vaccines, when they come out, I know everybody's saying rates are going to go up. I disagree. I think rates come down. Here's what's going on. You had 20 million people lose their jobs. Only 10 million came back. So you have supply chain disruptions. Now, anybody who's listened to me in the past few weeks, you heard me say we're going to get a little bit of a bump up in rates because we're going to see some inflationary pressure. Remember this, inflation drives mortgage rates. So when you get inflation moving higher, it causes rates to levitate up a little bit. Why? Because inflation erodes the fixed payment that a recipient gets. So that recipient will have less buying power if things cost more. The only way they can protect themselves is to start at a higher perch and to wind up charging a little bit higher in interest. That's why inflation drives rates higher. Why are we seeing a little bit of inflation now? Because demand has come back, but the supply chain is being disrupted. That was evidenced in yesterday's manufacturing report. And because of that, inflation expectations went up. That's why you saw rates move up a little bit yesterday. So when we take the masks off, when the vaccines are distributed in enough of a level to where we could start, high-fiving, hugging, masks off, what will happen is that you will now have supply meet demand, which will bring prices down, which will drive rates lower. So I think that when the masks come off, we can look forward to a really good interest rate environment. Technology will push rates lower. And the big one is the debt. The debt overhang will keep pressure on rates. Large debt, people think it's inflationary because they don't understand it. Debt, imagine a family, they've got all kinds of debt and they're trying to make the monthly payments on it. They pay off all their debt. They're left with very little for discretionary income to generate economic activity. It's the same for governments. Remember this, thank God we are not printing money. So when the government borrows money by selling treasuries, they pay interest on that. They service that debt. By those servicing the debt, those payments is less income or less dollars that they have to generate economic activity. Slower economic activity, slower inflation. Lower inflation, lower interest rates. The debt is now 29 trillion or about to be $29 trillion with the next stimulus package. It was 22 trillion in 2019 and rates were being pressured lower. At 29 trillion, economic activity will be slower. So you're in for a good time as far as interest rates go, but remember, they're sensitive because just a little bit of a move up, 3/8 or quarter or whatever, could wipe out half the refinances out there. Now, just because we say rates will be good, doesn't mean it goes in a straight line or stays there. We know it's volatile. So there's going to be periods that we have to protect ourselves from. All right, let's get back to some of these slides. And when we talk about inflation and the debt, all these things matter. Now, she's back, okay? Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, never met a spending program she did not like. She's very, very free with dollars. This is really different than Steven Mnuchin. So Jerome Powell, our current Fed chair, and Steven Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, used to butt heads. Janet Yellen, as Treasury Secretary, what does this mean? She will bless everything Jerome Powell wants to do. Now, remember, the Fed's freaking crazy, okay? Why in the world would the Fed feel the need to buy bonds of McDonald's and Apple? I mean, is Apple really hurting? Is Apple really in that bad of a shape that the Fed has to come in and buy their bonds? So Jerome Powell wants to do everything he can. Steven Mnuchin curbed his appetite. Janet Yellen will say, have a second helping. Okay, so there's a big change here. And what this means is that the Fed may decide, and they want to do this, to buy longer term dated maturities, much like they did about 8 years ago with something they called Operation Twist. They sold shorter term maturities, they bought longer term maturities. What does that mean to you and me? Lower mortgage rates. Under Janet Yellen, yes, there will be more spending, but they will be continuously active in purchasing, especially longer dated maturities, and that will hold interest rates down. Now, what is the long-term price tag for that? Wish I knew, okay? But for the next few years, we're going to see a low interest rate environment. By the way, by her becoming Treasury Secretary, all of the new issued bills, $20 bills, $100 bills, $5 bills, they will have her signature on it, so you can look for that in the future. Now, listen here. The Fed's going to be at zero, especially with Janet Yellen as Treasury Secretary to support Jerome Powell's desire to do so. But that does not mean mortgage rates stay at zero, and people will get lulled to sleep. You're going to have customers that say, oh, the Fed's at zero. I don't have to worry. Rates. Hold on a second. The blue line's mortgage rates for the past 50 years. The red line's the Fed funds rate. As you can see, there are periods of time where the Fed funds rate went up, mortgage rates went down, or the Fed funds rate went down, mortgage rates go up. That happens over and over and over and over again. But now the Fed's saying they're at zero, so your customer gets mistaken. And when we see rates at zero, let's just look at some history. I love history because as Mark Twain said, maybe it isn't always going to repeat itself, but it does tend to rhyme. And when you take a look here from 2009 to 2016, the Fed was indeed at 0. However, look at this. Mortgage rates went from 4 to 5 1/8 while the Fed was at 0. And again, from 3.5 to 4 3/4 while the Fed was at 0. So this should not give us that false sense of security. We need to understand that rates could go up even with the Fed at 0. So we have to tell our customers to not get too comfortable. We think we'll be in a good environment, but there could be periods of time. And look, when this happens over a 6-month period, like it does here and here, you look at the chart, you say, yeah, but then mortgage rates went down. Okay, but what is your time with a customer? Is it 6 months? Is it 2 years? Is it 5? No, it's 30 days. So you have a 30-day window for them to lock in an interest rate at that, or maybe 45 or whatever the heck it is. So you have to be accurate in that time frame in guiding them correctly. So this is why we can't have a false sense of security, because somebody might say, well, yeah, I think that the Fed's going to remain at 0, so mortgage rates can go up, and then they're going to be shocked to see that rates went up 0.5% or 1/4%. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all these tools that I just kind of shared with you, if you watch CNBC or Fox, when they debated me, they said, I want to debate you on that because they didn't believe where rates are going. We use all these tools to get this right. And I believe that these same exact tools, philosophies, and the way that we interpret the market conditions will lead us to having this right again into the future. So as I said, we could see rates bump up a little bit, but I think that there are good times ahead, especially when the supply chain comes back. Now, there's a lot of opportunity for you, and that's why I want you to kick ass right now, because look, I don't want you to miss the boat here. Because right now, based upon just people who have mortgages in good standing with at least 20% equity, so 80 LTV or less, 720 FICO or better, that could save at least 0.75%, there is a massive opportunity. You right now have 20 million mortgages you could do to refinance at 300,000 a piece. That's $6 trillion. Team, we're going to kill ourselves this year to do maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 trillion in mortgages. There's 6 trillion out there. So if you're not on social media, if you're not use our tool, Social Studio, and reap the benefits like everybody else is doing. But if you're not out there right now pushing hard, this is not the time for you to take up golf and start taking golf lessons, okay? Look, I know you're working hard, but this is a period of time that you can utilize, that you can create generational wealth for yourself and your family. This is an unbelievable opportunity that you've been handed. You've just been handed this gift, okay? Maximize it. Now, when I pulled this chart up initially, it was 49% of all mortgages were below 4%, but now it's greater than that every single day. Every time you do a purchase for somebody who's selling a home that had a mortgage above 4%, or anytime you refinance somebody who was above 4%, anytime you close that loan, this number will get bigger, 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 bigger. So that's why 4%, 3/4 below that will be the trigger. If mortgage rates go to 3 3/4, half your refi business is gone. So that's why you want to make hay while the sun's shining and do it right now, because I will tell you that there will be periods of time where you'll get a spike up in mortgage rates, even with the Fed at 0, even with all these good things we talked about, because of some inflationary fears or a hot stock market. This will push rates higher, but we will come back down. There will be cycles for us. We are in for a good time, but we have to navigate through them. It's not clear sailing. We got a great tailwind, but we still have to be careful and navigate it. Now, here's a big one. This one really kind of this one gets to me because the media just doesn't freaking understand it. As I mentioned yesterday in Housing Wire, and they're good people there, but this is a difficult one to understand. So what I'm about to explain to you is very critical because you have to help your customer understand it, your realtor understand it, and certainly you can be a media resource for this because they just don't get it, and that is affordability. Right now, affordability is like the 7th best affordability of all time. And people, all you hear in the media is, oh, homes are unaffordable, sales are slowing down because of that affordability. First of all, sales are not slowing down. We're up 20% on existing homes, which represent 85% of the market year over year, 20%. And that means that sales are very robust, except how about this headwind? We've lost 20% of our inventory. So 20% of the stuff that we could sell, that's gone. That's not available. And we're still up 20% of the amount of sales. And everybody's saying it's unaffordable. It's because they don't understand affordability. Affordability is something that they confuse with median home price. Let me just talk to you for a second here. So here's the deal, team. Math is hard. People don't understand math, the media especially. And when we talk about median home price is simply this. Half of the sales occurred above the median home price, currently at 313,000 on an existing home, 375 on new construction. Let's take existing homes, which represent 85% of the market. 313,000. Half the sales occurred above it. Half the sales occurred below it. Now, here's the thing. Let's just say, for argument's sake, if there's a boatload of inventory on the lower end of the scale, and on the upper end, there's not a lot of inventory. So a lot of sales will transpire on the lower end of the scale. You could have a very robust housing market and you could have home values increasing significantly, but the median home price, because of more sales on the lower end, will go down. It's not appreciation. The media doesn't understand that. So the median home price has moved up 15.5% because there's no inventory on the lower end. So people are buying higher priced homes more than they're buying lower priced homes. That increase of 15.5%, people in the media look at it and they say, oh my gosh, not affordable to sustain 15.5%. And they're saying hourly earnings just go up at 3% a year. We're never going to be able to sustain this. This is not affordable. So they don't understand the whole picture. So first of all, on the median home price, we know that that's not the right instrument. The right one is to look at Case-Shiller's level of appreciation. That's very robust though, but it's not 15.5%. It's 7%, still up there. It's actually above our estimates. We were looking pretty good. It was at 5.7% to last month, and that's exactly where we thought it would be. We said 5.5% to 6% was our forecast, but now it's exceeded our forecast. So we're coming up a little short on our forecast, but we're pretty close. Now, when we look at 7%, somebody might say, okay, well, if incomes are going up at 3%, 7% is where we're looking at for home price appreciation. It's still not affordable. Okay, let me explain it to you. Number one, when you look at hourly earnings and you include everybody, it's the wrong measuring stick, because that 16-year-old who works at a fast food restaurant, they're not a home buyer today. They're not in the game today. They will be, but they're not in the game today. So you really shouldn't be counting them. And the other thing is hourly earnings. Hey, I can make more per hour, less per hour. That's not what I take home. What I take home is how much my hourly earnings are times how many hours I work. Now, when you do that metric, you get weekly earnings. Weekly earnings are 5.7%. So somebody might still cite, well, homes are going up at 7, 5.7 is weekly earnings. Even after we've educated them, they're still going to combat you. Hold on, here we go. Let's go back. So let's just say a year ago, somebody listened to the media. They listened to Diana Olick. They listened to the Crash Brothers. They listened to all these jokers out there that have no clue on how to understand this stuff. And they listened to them and they didn't buy a home. Well, a year ago, their principal and interest payment, not taxes and insurance, principal could have been $1,000 a month. And to meet that obligation, their income was about $5,000 a month. So at $5,000 a month in income versus $1,000 a month payment, that is a normal ratio between the two, which I'm just saying this because that's the numbers that Fannie and Freddie give us. So maybe you agree with that. It's probably a reasonable ratio between the two for here's your monthly income and here's the level of principal and interest payment. So let's just say they didn't buy the home last year. So they missed out, they skipped on it. But now that home went up, let's call it 5% to make it simple, easy, round numbers. So that $1,000 a month payment last year, this year's equivalent is 5% higher because the payment went up if interest rates stayed the same. Now, I know interest rates went down, but let's just say for a minute that they stayed the same. That means that their payment went up 5% or $50 per month. How much more would their income have to go up to meet that obligation? So that means their income would have had to have gone up by $50 a month to $5,050. What percent rise in income is this? Is it 5%? No, it's 1%. Just a 1% rise in income when you have a 5% rise in home values will make it the same affordability if interest rates stay the same. Now, incomes are going up at 5.7%. What does that tell us? It tells us that home values, if interest rates stay the same, could go up, get this, 15, 20, 25%, and affordability would get better, not worse. So now that you understand it, this is a very important message. Now, here's the other thing. People talk about crashes. They hear the Crash Brothers, oh, we're going to have foreclosures, the forbearances, all that crap that's out there. First of all, people got a huge equity cushion. 87% of the homes out there that have a mortgage have a less than 80 LTV. 95% are below 90 LTV. Team, people have equity to protect. If I run into trouble that I can't make my payment or I come out of forbearance and I've got issues, I'm just gonna put my house on the market. It's gonna sell within a week if it's priced correctly. And I'm gonna protect that 10% equity, that $30,000 or $20,000. I'm gonna protect it. Housing overview looks like this: 127 million households, 41 million are rented, 86 million are owned, but 34% of those are free and clear. No forbearance issues there, no foreclosure issues there, okay? But a lot of cash out opportunity for you and move up opportunity. 66% of homes, or 56 million homes, they do have a mortgage, but the average LTV is 53%. Almost $200,000 equity in homes. We see home values going up by about 6% next year. There's a big question that comes up. And that big question is this: should I bid over asking price? And that's something that is a real issue. It's a real concern. It's a real problem that people are having. And 20% of transactions are cash right now. So when you take a look at it, by the way, did somebody have a question for us there? I heard somebody come on. Okay, we'll continue. This is a real property. So if that home, in this particular case, let me just walk it through with you. If that home were $810,000 was the asking price, and the AVM value is 808. Now we know that the AVM accuracy is 96%. Then that home is priced, pretty much in line with what the value is. But now you got a cash offer at, 805. You got somebody bidding 810, somebody bidding 820. For you to win this home, the only way to do it is to go $20,000 over asking price and bid $830,000. Now, good luck, because who wants to pay full price for something, nonetheless, over asking price? I mean, really, I don't want to pay over asking price. You don't want to pay over asking price. How does your real estate agent, who's counting on you to help them, convince that customer to go $20,000 over asking price? Because I'll tell you what the alternative is. The customer turns around to the realtor and says, oh, take it out of your commission. Because the realtor doesn't want to hear that, right? So you want to be your realtor's best friend? Here's what you do. You say, okay, let's find out at what point in time this 808,000 AVM is going to be worth, in their zip code, based upon forecasted appreciation, $830,000. When will the value of the home eclipse what they're offering? And let's see what that answer is. And we could see here that that will happen by March of 2021. So here we are in December. By the time I close, it's February or maybe late January. My first mortgage payment is going to be in March. By the time I make my first mortgage payment, the home value will be at $830,000. Realtors have been saying that this is the greatest tool that they've ever had. There's nothing that has ever existed in the mortgage industry, and no one else has it. It's part of MBS Highway. Many of you are part of that. Please use this tool. Use this tool with everybody. All you do is put in an MLS number. It does everything else for you, and you say how much you want to bid over asking price. And then it'll also tell you what the home's forecasted to appreciate over the next 5 years, so you can really get the customer to feel comfortable moving forward. Now, we have built into MBS Highways our own AVM that you could use for a resource. You could send out reports. You can co-brand it. So why is this so important? Because the last thing you want somebody to do is to go to Zillow to get an AVM, because if they do, they get pixeled. You've been pixeled. You go to sites, they pixel you, and then anytime you go to surf Instagram, Facebook, wherever, what you see is a barrage of ads from that for that particular product. If they go to Zillow, they're going to get barraged with Zillow's Zillow's realtors and mortgage companies that pay them. So we have to make sure that we are all over that. And then, by the way, if you like having an AVM and having access to it, why don't you put it on your own site? We allow you to do that in MBS Highway, and you can co-brand it and put it on your realtor site. That is one great way to ensure the relationship with realtors, because that realtor will love traffic going to their site to use the AVM to be able to generate leads and capture them. And then finally, I want you to look at Social Studio, because this is the greatest tool. I mean, it turns your computer into a teleprompter. We give you scripts, and people are getting thousands of hits every time they do a video, and it's translating into transactions. You know how many transactions are out there. Why not ring the cash register every single day? If you can read for 30 or 45 seconds, you can do videos, and you can be very effective at it. We make it super easy. And then I do think that you should consider Certified Mortgage Advisor. There is a great code that we have today that if you wanted to become CMA.com, if you go there, you want your CMA, you want that designation. I know many of you have it. The reviews on it are through the roof. Just go to the Facebook users group of Certified Mortgage Advisor on Facebook. You will be blown away on how everybody is just saying that this is the greatest thing that they've done for their career. You can take $300 off that today. The code's BH2. Just do that. We put that together for Christine. And if you'd like to get on MBSI, we got a very big discount for that too. what you have to do is you could email Jared at MBS Highway, or you could go to mbshighway.com/P, then /CB for Christine Beckwith. Because of Christine is why we've got this deep discount. Team, I know we went over by 3 minutes, but I am also here to take any questions that you guys might want to have. I put the reading glasses on so I could start looking at what's happening here with the chat window. And my goodness, I got to catch up here. I've got to catch up to a lot of these here.
We will read questions for you, Barry, so you don't have to go digging.
Okay.
We have staff members on, and thank you very much for your incredible, precious time to give us this insight. It was really good for me too. I need that. You should all know that as a national consultant and coach, it is Barry's information that I follow to advise so many people. So it's just precious, precious information. So Christine, I know you're on the line. Can you tell me if there's any questions for Barry before we let him go? We are going to let you know that if there are a few questions and we let Barry go, we are going to go right into trivia, giving away his Money in the Streets book, which gets you a piece of him, and also our Win or Learn book. And then there will be a break before our last two speakers at the top of the hour. So lots and lots of praise, Barry. Thank yous, tons and tons. Here's a question. Is there a difference between the CMA and CRM designation? CRMs.
Very big difference. Of CMPS, CRMS, or maybe CMPS, they're different. There's nothing like CMA. I created CMPS about 15 years ago when I saw change in the marketplace. You know, I saw the writing on the wall in 2006. I sold my company in 2007. I just did not like the mortgage business, and I thought they'd be hell to pay. Created CMPS to help people kind of combat that and get a higher level of education. But where we are right here, CMA is what I've really kind of picked up in the last 15 years, and along with previous 15 years of education. So if you want to be able to read the markets, understand the Fed, know every economic report, guys, you're getting crushed by online lenders with APR. APR is the stupidest freaking thing out there, but nobody can explain it. And it's being used and manipulated against you. This will change everything for the way you look at the mortgage business. I promise you, it is a life-changing tool, and it will raise you above your competition.
Awesome.
When you pay off a consumer, I see some stuff coming in here. Okay, I got to go back to the glasses, guys. I'm sorry. So here we go. Best piece of advice that I would give an originator for getting ready to start their own brokerage. Well, you know, listen, you just got to be smarter than your competition. Okay, so education, 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 and be a great marketer. And if you always take the approach of treating every customer like they're your parent, your child, or your best friend, and be vulnerable, and make sure that you tell them everything bad. This applies to everybody that could happen to them, and put their best interest in front of your commission. Be vulnerable. I think that you will have a very, very successful endeavor. When you pay off consumer debt in a cash out refi, do you take in the effective time value of the money when taking consumer debt? Yes, we do take that into consideration, because you are able to pay off that debt today, and you are able to allocate those dollars that will work for you as well. So the time value is contemplated. Absolutely. Do we receive Money in the Street book upon becoming a member of CMA?
No, you have to buy it.
So Stuart, yes, for right now it is. And Ivan, it's great to see you. I'm seeing all these wonderful things. Guys, I'm so touched by a lot of these wonderful, kind comments. I mean, I can't even get to all of them. Carly and Zubair and Lillian and Valerie and Adele. You know, David, thank you. Gosh, so many of you guys are so nice. I love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm really, really touched. Tommy, thank you so much. All of you guys. Oh, Valerie, thanks for the kind words about the glasses. Yeah, I am a little self-conscious about it. And Craig, thank you. Thank you guys. Appreciate you so much.
Yay.
God bless you.
Well, Barry, thank you so much. You've been a part of all my events. You'll be a part of my future events, I know, as well. You know, God willing, we get back to live events somewhere next year. But thank you so much. We know your time is precious. We know you have to go. You had meetings today, so we'll let you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to stay on. Everybody stay with me, because I'm going to do some trivia questions. Barry, thank you. Love you.
Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you. God bless you guys. Bye.
Awesome. That was awesome. That was exactly what we needed, right? The economic outlook. Man, there was so much positivity in that that really even makes me feel so much better about some of the things we've been worried about, right? So listen, we know this seminar is long, but you do not want to miss the next two speakers. I'm going to give you a break, but stay on with me for 5 minutes. We're going to give away some books right now. We're giving away Money in the Streets. We have 5 more of these to give away. We're giving away my best-selling Win or Learn, also awesome, 15 top. With no further ado, I am going to introduce one of my good friends and also someone I look up to so much. This person I met out on the speaking circuit. I actually interviewed her for a show that we did on Mortgage News Network called The Most Powerful Women in Banking. And we had a whole season and episodes, and Laura was one of the 13 highest ranking women in the banking industry. She is such a powerful motivator, runs a huge organization. Let me read her official bio because I don't want to miss a thing about Laura. Laura Brandao launched its wholesale channel and now serves American Financial Resources as president and the only female partner. Laura is the chair of NAMBA's Visionary Program and founder of the Women's Mortgage Network for AIM. She has grown AFR as a leading specialty lender, rolling out new products based on market demand, and is its coveted speaker and well-regarded champion for the industry. Her recent honors include the 10 most influential businesswomen to follow, 20 most successful businesswomen to watch by Insight Success, a Women with Vision winner 2 times, 2 years, top 100 people in finance, and New Jersey Business's best 50 women in business. So Laura, we are so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Christine. I just want to also make sure you can see the PowerPoint, right?
Sure can.
Okay, just always like to know the technical stuff is fine.
Yep.
All right, so before we get started, I would like to thank Christine and 2020 Vision Your Success Coaching for giving me this opportunity to speak with all of you today. And first and foremost, I actually want to thank all of you. Yes, thank you all for saying yes, because you all had a decision to make during a very busy time, during this crazy volume that we're doing. You had to figure out a time and a way to be able to get out of your routine by investing in yourself and learning what you need to do in order to reach your goals for 2021. Now, since 2019, I also made the decision that every single day I would say yes. And what I say yes to is doing something different, doing something that actually scares me a little bit, even including this. Now, Christine mentioned that, yes, I get up and I speak up. You'll find me all over social media, but that doesn't mean that every single time that I decide to do this, I don't have fear or worry of what's going to happen during that time. So I believe that by getting out of your comfort zone and actually scaring yourself into doing something unique, you are actually creating a momentum of change, leading you into higher and higher goals that you are going to reach. Okay, so I found a quote from someone that I actually believe it hits the nail right on the head. Every single blade of grass and every flake of snow is just a wee bit different. There's no two alike, you know. From something small like grains of sand to each gigantic star, we are all made with this in mind, to be what they are. How foolish then to imitate, how useless to pretend, since each of us comes with a mind whose ideas never end. There'll only be just one of me to show what I can do, and should likewise feel very proud, there's only one of you. That is where it all starts. Wonderful, unlimited human beings of you. So picture this. You feel like, and what happens if the day that you decide that every single thing you touch turns to gold? After me, I know Mike Kortas is about to come online and speak about how he grew Nexa. Now, I can remember Mike being on a panel discussion with me, maybe, I don't know, 18 months ago or so. And Mike threw out a goal. He said to me, Laura, I am going to have this many loan officers before this date. And I remember that as he pronounced that, and he said to me, I'm going to do this, I knew that was going to happen. So where does that all come from? Where do we all start? It starts with the power of execution. And what I'm going to go over today is that power of execution is actually 10 components to how to have a successful execution plan. And I will say that, you know, Nike nailed it, right? They nailed it that they said, just do it. We establish a vision, we create a plan, we work the plan, and we execute, right? That was it. We execute it. But if only it was that easy, wouldn't everybody hit that dream or hit that goal? So what are the steps that people are actually missing? Well, let's dive into what those steps are. The first step is actually being flexible. It's easy to have these ideas. The hard part is turning those ideas into a successful executable plan. It takes persistence, relentlessness, and a combination of stubbornness and flexibility. You actually need to know when to use which of them. Okay, at times you need to be focused, but at other times you need to realize it's not all going to happen exactly as you designed within your plan. So the favorite quote of mine on this topic is, be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your methods. Now, we've seen it a million times, especially within our industry. You have people that have all these ideas and all of a sudden they're ready to go. They implement, and then something doesn't work out the way they expected. And then they're like, scratch that. That idea was terrible. I'm no longer going to focus on that. Now, instead of me being and I'll just use my company as an example, you know, instead of me being a renovation and construction specialist, well, that didn't work. Well, you know what? Now I'm going to cut my rates and I'm going to become the cheapest out there. Well, that could be the plan, but that plan should be after you actually have modified what your original thought was. It should be, okay, if you've analyzed and you thought my best way for growth is to add loan officers, well, maybe adding loan officer is a great plan, or maybe there's another way to truly accomplish what you're looking to do. Don't think about it just in terms of the minute something goes wrong, you adjust. You have to be flexible where be stubborn about the goal. Once you put that plan out there, then as things adjust and as circumstances arise, you are going to be flexible in the next thing that's going to happen. Now, keep an open mind and analyze as you go along. Now, the next thing that you see within the component is being gritty. I love this word. This is such a great word because we all know highly successful individuals all have this common hunger for practice, and they're willing to sacrifice and suffer for their vision. Gritty people see action through to completion without excuses. It's 100% being accountable for what your goal is. It's not okay that, listen, we all know, no one thought that when the pandemic hit, we all said, all right, what are we going to do? Now, it turned out to our favor. But we didn't know that was going to happen. We dug in, we listened to the experts, we took a leadership position because the minute that if things get rough, you hide, that's not a leadership position. That's not going after and executing your initial plan. We all know things don't work out exactly initially, but we have to remain true to that. So how do we remain gritty? Well, first off, We have to have specific goals and milestone dates. They have to have a plan of, we put that big dream out there, but there's going to be little things that we need to accomplish in order to hit that. Sometimes having these monumental goals, if we just throw that out there, we're not actually going through the steps to get there. And it looks so overwhelming that a lot of times it's easy to give up. We actually say, all right, I know I put it out there, and I know my goal was to be the number one, whatever. I know that my goal was to grow my company to X. I know that I want to become a powerhouse on social media. Well, that's great, but put those little milestones leading your way up to there, because anyone can say, I want to be this. But sometimes if we're only focused on the end, we miss all the steps in the middle. Then follow your passion. You don't have to love every part of the business. I'll give myself again as the example. I absolutely can't stand the compliance part of it. That's not my specialty. I'd rather be in the thick of things. I'd rather be in the production side. I'd rather be putting the pieces of the puzzle together and bringing those families home. But we all know, when you run a company in our business, we know we have to have the compliance factors. We have to have the training components. All of that is vital to our businesses. So that's where we recognize that may not be our forte. Get people surrounding us on that team. Get the people that their passion is doing that. Their passion is training. Their passion is compliance. Their passion is holding us accountable and handling our books and our finances for us. That might not be our forte. That might not be what lights us up. But recognize what we're passionate about, and then get people that are passionate about those other components to combine with us. Now, the other part of being gritty is know your purpose. Gritty people understand their why. It's never a job. It's never a task. There's always a higher mission and a purpose. We all know our industry is a blessing to all of us. It's a great time right now. There's many years has been phenomenal. But if we come into our industry with just one goal, it's going to get old, because we all know our industry is cycles. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're not. When we believe in our purpose, and we're here for the long haul of helping families, for building generational wealth, for making a difference for all of our clients that we work with, that purpose will make it so we're gritty during the times that we're trying to reach those goals. And then finally, pay attention to your self-talk. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Whichever you think, that's what's going to happen. A lot of us, these things depend on our mindset. And I saw an interesting statistic. Olympic athletes actually have 500 to 1,000 words that they're saying to themselves to keep themselves in the right frame of mind. If you go to anyone that is a professional athlete, they know that whether they have a good game or they have a good round, it's going to partially depend on the mindset that they go into the game. Okay, so that is going to be... Somebody's got back. Somebody's got... Someone's speaking.
Laura, unmute yourself. I hit the mute all button. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, no worries. Thanks, Christine. Thanks for your help. Okay, so then the next thing, curiosity. So we have our vision, we have our strategy. Here's something that I find that a lot of us, especially over time, we lose a little bit of our curiosity. And curiosity, the thing about asking questions and being curious, a couple of factors. Number one, the more you're curious and you are actually engaged, the people that you work with or your surrounding, it actually lowers your anxiety, believe it or not. Because by having that curiosity and truly listening and being engaged, it actually keeps us controlled, okay? And this is my most favorite story about curiosity. We all know Ray Kroc, okay? The guy from McDonald's, all right? For anyone that doesn't know the story, This man's job at 50 years old was selling milkshake machines. Okay? So every day orders would come in, or he would take his milkshake machine to different restaurants and he would actually try to sell milkshake machines. Well, one day, a company, a restaurant in California called up and said, I would like to order 8 milkshake machines. Okay, so Ray Kroc is 50 years old. He's making a decent living, doing his same routine over and over again. He doesn't really need to change anything. He's living a good life. And he thought, 8 milkshake machines. Why in the world would anyone have a need for this? So he said to the gentleman, you know what? I would like to fly to California. Now, remember, this is in the 50s. It was a big deal to get on an airplane and fly across the country. He was on the East Coast. And he said, I want to get on an airplane. I want to fly to California, and I want to understand, why do you need 8 milkshake machines? Now, we all know the story. They actually set up the first fast food assembly line. But if Ray Kroc just continued on his life doing the same business as he always did, he really had no reason to question it. The whole McDonald's franchise and being a real estate investor and mogul and everything he built would have never happened. We all have the ability to ask those questions and stay curious within our own businesses in order for us to continue to progress and reach the goals that we are looking for. So I always ask everyone, continue those conversations, continue to be curious, because the minute we become complacent and we just keep doing the same old thing, that's when it gets stale. That's when all of a sudden you're not lit up and you don't have the passion and you don't understand the purpose, because it becomes a routine. So I always ask, curiosity is one of my favorites. Okay, so the next one, all right, we have our strategy, we have our vision, we're asking our questions. And now you also realize you have to be flexible, okay? And we all know, if 2020 has taught us anything, we've also learned we need to have resilience, okay? Well, the first thing to keep in mind is that failure is merely a stepping stone. Everyone goes through failures to learn lessons in order to continue to go on. But see, resilient people, they think of themselves as the CEO of their lives. They know that they control every single decision as to moving forward to the life that they're looking to achieve. So at the heart of resilience lies a simple truth, because change is inevitable. We have certainly all learned that this year. The reality is when we live in a world of a constant change, when we get into trouble is when we push back on it. When we say, I have to control everything. I'm not willing to roll with the punches and be able to just adapt and move forward. This year, we were challenged with that. And I know that we all have done very, very well. So the question is that how resilient are we when it's not necessarily as easy to have those refis out there? We certainly have to be prepared for making sure we're keeping those relationships strong and being resilient for if something else changes, okay? So during this time of resilience, we actually go through a cycle, okay? Our first cycle is our comfort zone. This is I'm on autopilot. I don't even have to think about it. I know exactly what to do from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. I've got it. I've done it for years. Well, that's safe, and that's your comfort zone, but you're never going to move forward in that particular situation. So then once you get out of that comfort zone, I mentioned it, every day I decide to do something that scares me. Something that I'm not an expert on, something that I've never done it before, and it's going to challenge me, and I have no idea what the outcome's going to be. Sometimes I win, sometimes I don't. Either way, the way I look at it is I actually always win, because when you get out of your comfort zone and you do something that scares you, well, guess what? You just built up resilience. And once you get past that, you start learning, you start problem solving, You're curious. You're learning new skills. You're actually getting into a new mode that now that goal that you actually set, maybe it's not big enough. I'm sure Mike Kortas will share this after me. I bet his goal is different than what he told me 18 months ago because he's already pushed past the fear. He's already learned lessons. So now, what's that goal look like for 21, for 25, for 2030? Now, what does it look like? That's the challenge. And then when we get past to that phase, we go into actual growth. Growth is, like I said, expanding. That dream that we had, it's going to seem small. All of a sudden, you're going to say, wow, I thought I only wanted this. Well, I'm going to blow past it. How many conversations Christine and I have had where it's, yeah, Christine and I had these conversations early in the pandemic where she spoke about the magazine. Her plan wasn't to launch the magazine at the time she did, but something changed. She adapted. A pandemic hit. We're all working from home. There's no more travel. There's no more speaking events at conferences. You adapt, you change, you speed up your goals, and you move forward. That's what you do in order to continue to push to those dreams. All right, so we've gotten past all of that. Now, the other thing is all of this is while you're actually living yourself as being the best you. You're not worrying about pleasing other people because that goal, it doesn't involve other people's opinions. Whatever you set forth as your goal for your company or yourself, you're doing that because that's what you're looking to do. You're not asking permission from other people that may disagree with you because it's not their goal. What you want for yourself, for your family, for your business, that's your personal goal. Don't let other people's opinions and don't worry about pleasing everyone out there because they have their own dreams. They have their own goals. And what their life of perfection looks like to them, that's theirs. And yours is yours. So it's very important that you actually get okay with the fact that your dream is your dream. And other people's opinion, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes your family might say, why in the world are you doing that? Why do we need to do that? Aren't we happy just selling a couple of milkshake machines? Why do we need to go and build McDonald's? Well, actually, I'm really happy that Ray Kroc did what he did. Look what it paved the way for all the entire franchise business. He changed the world he created and changed the world of franchising because he asked a question about buying 8 milkshake machines. Other people would say, why did you do that, Ray? You're 50 years old. You have a good life. Why do you want to build that? Well, some people may be saying that about some of the goals and dreams that you have. Don't ever let someone else change your goals or your dreams because they belong to you. The other thing is being vulnerable in this section, truly challenging yourself to actually expose yourself and being true to yourself. Again, we can't people please. We have to believe in our dreams and we have to follow through with them. And that's where it gets hard. Now, the other piece of this is focus. All right. I've got some interesting information on this one because I actually did a little research and I thought this was fascinating because I'm sorry, in 2020, 2021, we all have a problem with focus, especially since we're all working virtually and we have so many distractions coming at us, okay? Our brains are 100% a machine, right? And we know, and I think we all can admit that when we get that text message, that email, that social media pop-up, our brains are wired to look at it almost like, we're getting a jolt of electricity. All of a sudden we're like, oh, look, that person just sent me a text, or I just got that email, or that social person, somebody commented or liked one of my social media posts. We all have our brains working that way, but that actually makes it so that we cannot necessarily focus on the things that we need to. So here's a few tips. about this. Number one, do your creative work first. Typically, what we do is we do our mindless work first and we build up to our toughest tasks. That actually drains your energy and lowers your focus. So an hour into doing your work, you've got a lot less capacity than in the beginning of it. Remember, every decision that you make is using and tiring your brain. So in order to focus effectively, reverse the order. Check off the tasks that require creativity or concentration first in the morning, and then move to the things that are a little bit easier, okay? Scheduling maybe some meetings later, or, checking off things to do. So start with the harder stuff because your brain is ready and it's alive when we first wake up in the morning. So start with that. Also, here's the research part that is going to blow your mind. Research has actually shown that we only truly focus an average of 6 hours a week, not a day, a week. So how do we actually want to use those 6 hours? Now, it's also proven that 90% of people concentrate better outside the office. Now, I'm the first one to say some of my best ideas, strategy, and planning has happened on airplanes. I actually look forward to going on long trips because I know there's no distraction. I know I'm not going anywhere. I know I've got nothing else to do. So if I'm going to do a real dive in, let me think, let me jump into this, some of my best strategies came on an airplane. So think about where that moment is for you, whether it's, sitting outside by a tree, whether it's at the beach, or wherever it is for you, think of where that best concentration is for when you're looking for this, okay? And then the other thing is to train your brain like a muscle. When multitasking is the norm, your brain quickly adapts. You lose the ability to focus, and distraction, it became a habit. We've trained our brain to look for those pop-ups, to look for those text messages and the social media alerts and the emails. So what we actually have to do is build up our muscle to allow it to learn to focus. Start small, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then go to a larger chunk of time so that it's not just 6 hours of focus, okay? Now, the other thing, as we're trying to, become, hit our goals, the other piece of the puzzle is building a tribe. Now, again, I'll speak about 2020. 2020 has taught me the value and the importance of having a tribe. We were all remote. We're all working virtually. We couldn't jump on a plane and meet clients or attend conferences where you get that recharge of bonding and personal connection. But in the year 2020 and 2021, we now have the power of bonding in other ways like this: connection, getting to know people on a personal level, and the value of being part of a tribe and a unity like what Christine has built. Being part of that is extremely valuable and vital to reaching all of our goals. Now, we are in a social mode right now, and it's very interesting. I have a little chart here. So again, as you can tell, I love research. I love TED Talks. I am a forever learner. Every single day I try to learn something new, and I try to do something that scares me. So I did some research on the different ages and how we have adapted as humans. So the agricultural age, back in the days when we were all farmers, do you know what success was in the agricultural age? What happened is when we had our farms, generations back, one family would grow potatoes. Another family would have livestock. Another family would have corn. And together, we would actually join in order to be able to come together and work together as social animals. That was success. In the industrial age, we moved into factories. And when we got to the factory level, all of a sudden, the bosses became almost dictators. They started inciting, do things this way. This is how you have to do it. And then we went to the social age, which is what we're in now. And we've realized that we're back to the family, everybody working together, everybody being united. So what we've learned is that we deserve and have to be part of a tribe, just like the agricultural age, where we bartered and we traded, and we had services that we worked together to say, hey, you're the best at this. I'm going to use you for this. And the other person is the best at something else. And we worked together as a group. And then we know the benefits of working as a team. And then after that, we've learned that small, consistent action is how we have to work towards our goals. Seth Godin says, I love this quote, the thing about incremental daily progress, negative or positive, is that's what truly causes transformation. It's a figurative drip, 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 showing up every single day, gaining in strength, organizing, it's supposed to be long haul, building connection. This subtle but difficult work is how culture changes. See, if we want the end to become what we're looking for, we have to remember that what we do every single day gets us there. Not what we do once a month, not what we do once a year, not what we do every 6 months. It's literally every single day's actions is how we get one step closer. It's not the monumental. And then, of course, our communication to our teams, our communication of our brand, our communication of who are we and what are we looking to accomplish. Sometimes, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm calling you out on this one because you're the greatest example and you're coming up next. Sometimes we're afraid to say what our goals are out loud because we're afraid that, if I go out and I say that I want to be the number one, I want to accomplish this, I want to do this production, I want to build this kind of company. Sometimes we're afraid to put that out there because we say, well, if I fail, people will say, wow, you didn't hit that goal. Well, what are you afraid of? If you're not putting it out there for all to hear, you're already admitting you failed. So tell everyone your goal, your team, your family, your network, your tribe. Tell them what you're looking to accomplish, because it's actually very interesting too. If you tell your tribe what you're looking to accomplish, your tribe will actually help you get there. So don't be afraid to share it. And then, of course, as you're making your progress, you have to measure it. You measure the long haul and you measure the little incremental successes. Because if you're not measuring along the way, how do you know if you're actually making the progress that you put out there? And remember, in the beginning, I said, be flexible. Okay, maybe you didn't hit what you thought you would in 30 days. Recalibrate, reassess it, figure out why you didn't. It's okay. That doesn't mean scrap the idea and start again. It means analyze why not. Make the proper adjustments. Don't make the goal less. Don't say, my goals were too big. I'm going to cut them. It's never going to happen. No, absolutely not. Keep your goals big. Just recalibrate and allow yourself to lean into them. And then, most important part, and the part that as type A personality people that want to always succeed and always want to be the best at whatever we do, this is something that a lot of us have a problem doing. When we put our flag at the winner's circle of that goal that we're looking to accomplish, that flag might look really far away. And sometimes we're like, it's so long. Celebrate those wins as you're doing them. Take a moment, celebrate them with your team, because it absolutely gets you closer to your goal. So on that note, I know I need to wrap up, but 80% of people do not reach their goals because they give up. So my question is, I know if you're on this call today, that's the 20% that will, because all of you said yes to dedicating the time and energy to focus on yourself and your teams to reach those lofty goals. And I know you will do that. So wishing everyone a happy holiday season, and may 2021 be your best ever.
My God, everyone, so many positive comments. I know you couldn't see while you were talking. I love this presentation. I hope to see you give it again. I can see this. This is on point. Somebody just asked what 0.7 and 8 were. Can you go back to slides, those slides, reverse slides? And so here's your chance. If you just asked, there it is, 7 and 8. So it looks like going back was 10, 9. So 7 is
wait,
small.
actually, wait.
Oh.
I think, I'm sorry, I didn't make the PowerPoint, so I apologize.
All
So
right.
let me look at my notes. Seven is small, consistent actions. So that's your drip, drip, drip. And 8 is communication, putting it out there.
Awesome. Okay. Hope that helped. Well, you had incredible comments on here. We're just a few minutes over. We're really doing good. As conventions go, and Laura will tell you, there can be way out of whack things happening. At the Vision Summit last year, we went an hour over in the morning. I mean, things happen, right? So this was awesome content, Laura. Thank you so much. I know how valuable your time is. We really appreciate you. Hang out if you want. I know you probably have a company you got to go run, so you might have to jolt. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone. You guys are awesome. And just want you to know, just as I started, thank you so much for saying yes to investing in yourself. It is the greatest investment you can make. And I know all of you are going to crush it. Thank you, Christine.
Thanks, Laura, so much.
Bye.
Introducing this final segment with CEO of Nexa Mortgage, my good friend, Mike Kortas. Let me read his official bio because I don't want to miss anything. Mike Kortas is the Chief Executive Officer of Nexa Mortgage. Mike has more than 20 years of mortgage experience and has served multiple roles from loan originator, team leader, branch manager, regional manager, and vice president in previous positions. Nexa Mortgage was founded in 2017 by Mike Kortas as a co-founder with the single goal of becoming the best place for all independent loan officers to work. Under Mike's leadership, the company has grown to be #2 mortgage broker in only 2 years in America and is on pace to be the largest mortgage company serving independent loan officers. I am very proud to tell you, I am the Wendy Rhodes of Nexa. So I am the person that is on staff, as Bruce is laughing, McLean, who so properly titled me. So with that, Mike, thank you for being here today. And I'm going to take myself away and listen in the background.
Appreciate it. I was going to say, can we give about 10 more books away? Because I'm still a little stage frightened. So, right. But look, I appreciate it. I want to start out by an actionable item with everybody right now, right? I see a lot of people on here and I see a lot of just names, right? I don't see a lot of faces. So look, guys, going into 2021, right? But everybody, I want you guys to step out of your comfort zones here for just a minute, right? Going into 2021, because if you don't know it, 2021 has already started, right? If you haven't already started working on 2021, you're already behind the ball. You're already losing. But let's put ourselves out of our comfort zones a little bit. For those of you not running your video, turn that video on for me real quick, right? I only see like one and a half pages of video of 7 pages worth of people, right? Put yourself out of your, there we go. I see you guys coming in again. Put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? We're all on video. I'm literally on video 10 hours a day, guys. I sit on Zoom all day long supporting our network of people. But for those of you who took that one quick step real quick, right, that's awesome. Good for you. And get ready, because I'm going to ask you to take some more steps today. So, but what a great list of panels that we had so far. I personally learned so much, or took away quite a few nuggets out of that already, right? With Laura, right? One of the things I took from her was, right, be stubborn about your goals, but flexible with your plan. Now, she called me out a few times there, right? And she talked about telling people your goals, right? I was on stage and told everybody what our goal was, and we hit it. We actually crushed it, right? And I'll tell you today, my goal like Laura is telling me to do, right? My goal for next year is to get to 1,500 originating loan officers, right? Actually producing loan officers. That's my goal. I'm going to go after it, right? But I want to tell you that I've had adjustments, just like Laura told us, right? You have to adjust sometimes. One of my goals in 2013 was to be the highest producing loan officer in the country, right? And I missed that goal. I never did achieve it, right? But I readjusted my goals. I ended up being the highest producing loan officer without an assistant in the country. And I hit that goal. I didn't have a single team member on my team doing that with me. And I hit the highest producing individual loan officer. I did hit that goal, right? And I changed my goals, and now I have goals as a company, not just as an individual producer. So you can adjust your goals. But what Jason said earlier, $2 a day on Facebook, guys. I'm guilty of not doing this anymore. And I used to do this all the time, but $2 a day, that's all it takes, right? If you can't afford $2 a day, you're probably playing in the wrong business. $2 a day is going to, for the first week, just going to teach you how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it'll just teach you. You're going to learn something, right? You're going to realize something, and you're going to get better at it. And then you'll increase those budgets, right? And then, gosh, anybody not just take every chance they have to listen to Habib speak, right? Because knowledge is confidence, right? If you have the knowledge of the markets, every single time you're talking to somebody, whether it's a customer or a vendor or a referral partner, every single time you're talking to them, you have confidence because you have knowledge in the market. I have family members every day I'm trying to talk out of the fact that there's going to be this crazy housing bubble, right? But I have the confidence in talking to them about it because Barry tells me about it, and it makes sense. And he can show me the numbers I go along with it, right? And I find it really ironic, Christine, that you pulled the no excuses video from the beginning, because that's what I'm going into this thing with, right? No excuses. I'm like, what a great video. I hadn't seen that video, but I'm a huge video guy. And so I got it saved. And if I have a little bit of time at the end, I might replay that because I love that video, and it's no excuses, right? So let's go into and talk a little bit about excuses and things, right? But before we kind of do that, I want to talk a little bit about priorities. And people often come to me and they say, well, what's the secret sauce? What is it that you do? What is it? How is it that I can get to your level of volume, like as a loan officer? I used to have loan officers come over and visit me when I was in production, wanting to sit with me for a week. I'm like, you don't need to sit with me for a week. You need about an hour or two of your time. That's about it. I just rinse and repeat the same thing all the time, right? But it was because I had priorities. Now, I'm going to throw you all for a little bit of loop on here, but I want you all to do me a favor, and I want you to tell me what your priorities are. Throw them in the chat line. And what I'm looking for, and these are the normal priorities that I'm going to see, and I'm usually looking for your top priorities, right? And when you're talking to me, one of your priorities is usually going to be my career or my income. Right? That's an obvious priority, but I already see the family coming across, right? That's a priority, right? Another big one that I see coming across there right now is your faith, your God, church, right? Those are big priorities in your life, right? Martin's got money in there. Tom, helping people, right? Those are your priorities. Well, this is the thing. List your priorities out, guys. And I had my priorities too, right? I have my family was at the top of my priority chart. I had my career, right? Success was really my priority. It wasn't career, it was success. That's what my priority was, right? And I'm going back to 2012 here for a minute. So this is 2012 we're talking about, 2011, 2012 in that era. Family was a priority, right? I used to coach youth football. I ran a club football team. All those kids were my priority. My extended family. I have two very important brothers in my life. They're a huge priority for me. But this is the thing, guys. Do you want to be the greatest of all time at what you do? Do you want to be the GOAT, right? Or do you want to be the best at what you do? Or are you okay with just being good? Because if you want to be the best at what we do, and I'm going to lose a few of you here, you're not going to agree with me on this. You only get to pick one priority, guys. So you got to throw all the other ones away for a little bit. I'm not saying you have to throw them away forever, but you're going to have to put them aside if you want to compete with somebody as crazy as I was, or as crazy as I am about my goals. Okay, so you got to remember, there's people out there. There's people on this call. There's 300 and some odd people on this call right now that are still here, that are committed. You guys are the ones that the rest of the world should be afraid of. And that's pretty crazy to say, right? Like for me, I picked success. So what did that mean to me? I had to literally put my family away. And I'm not kidding when I say put my family away. I did. I absolutely put my family away for a couple of years. And some of you guys are going to start rubbing your eyes and say, what is this guy? What is he talking about? Right? I'm not telling you have to do it forever. I'm just telling you that if you want to be the best at what you do, if you want to compete against people that are just going all out for it, right? You've got to do this at one point. And to put certain things to the side are crazy, right? Now, I didn't do it without support, right? I have probably the best wife in the world, the best kids in the world, right? I'll talk to you about my youngest kid here in a little bit, probably. But I sat them down in 2012. I says, guys, I need to talk to you. And I really had to sit my wife down. And I says, listen, I'm not going to see you for a couple of years. You're going to have to take a back seat. The entire family has to take a back seat to everything. I'm not going to see you in a while. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, look, I'm going to come home at night and sleep, but I'm not going to see you because I got to do this thing that I know that I can accomplish. That's important to me, right? And what did I hear earlier, right? You got to have your why. Laura was talking about, you still got to have your why, right? And my why was the family, right? Because I knew that if I did this for a period of time, I'm going to change my family for generations, right? Barry talked about it, right? Generational wealth, right? You guys are sitting in the middle of an opportunity right now to create generational wealth, right? But you got to make sacrifices to get there. That's just the reality. If you want to be the greatest, if you want to hit these big peaks of experience, you've got to make some sacrifices. So I said, I'm not going to see you for a while, right? And I didn't. I would leave the house about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and I wouldn't get home until at least 10 o'clock at night. My son was 8 years old at the time, and I remember he told my wife tells me, she says,
Orange one, I think, with your
Patrick or Kitty, you guys are going to need to mute yourselves there. So
I got it, Mike. I'm on it.
All right.
I'm on it.
All right. So I wouldn't see them, but my son tells my wife one time, and she says, Mom, I know Dad like lives here, but we don't ever see him. Right. And that was how it was for a couple of years. I remember one time I was drinking coffee on a Saturday morning as I was home. Right. And when you work the kind of hours that I put in, your body shuts down at one point. Right. They were talking about it earlier. You got to train your brain, right? You got to get your brain. You got to train your brain to do this. You can't just jump into this thing overnight. But I was sitting having coffee one Saturday morning at 10 o'clock when I finally woke up because I crashed all Friday night. The body just crashes at one point. And I look up at my son. Keep in mind, this is my son. I live with him. Right? And I look and I says, Isaiah, man, you're getting really tall. Right? Now, a man who lives with his son probably should not recognize that. Right? Maybe an uncle. Right, a friend or a cousin or something, right? But not a father. That's the kind of commitment I put into it, right? But that son, by the way, that I recognize, he's probably my biggest supporter. 3 days ago, I got to laugh a little bit, right? This kid is in the living room here telling me, Dad, you're slacking on your goals. I think you should have more loan officers by now. You really get? I'm like, who's this? Right now, this kid's born into it, so I could die tomorrow, and this kid's going to be okay, right? I created generational wealth just by rubbing that off to him. Right? So when you set aside goals, you don't have to do it forever. I did that for about 2.5, 3 years. Right. And in 2015, I was the highest producing loan officer in the country without an assistant. I didn't have a single person on my team. I did it all alone. Right. Nobody produced more loans than I did in the entire country that way. So, but I didn't have to do it forever. But it gave me my why to do what I do now. It gave me the excuse. Why do I get a run next to Mortgage? The fastest growing company, privately owned financial company in the world. Right. First half of 2020, Nexa Mortgage was recognized as the fastest growing, privately owned financial company in the world. Not in the US, not in the mortgage industry. Financially in the world, fastest growing, right? But doing that gave me the right. Now, right? I do spend a lot of time with my family. I do see them a lot more often. It gave me the right. Now I still grind and I do it from home, obviously with COVID, but it gave me the right. So priorities, right? I want to tell you that priorities are one of those things that you got to set. Now it doesn't mean that you have to completely forget your family. Or your faith, right? One thing that my family knew is that, look, I'll see you on weekends because I didn't take appointment on weekends, but understand I'm just going to be on my phone nonstop. My wife, Sheila's got to get on me a little bit about doing that at dinner, but I'm going to answer my phone, right? And that's just what I do. But that's what got me to setting myself up. Now, if you're not that, right? Now you can still be good at what you do. You're not going to be the greatest of all time if you don't set everything else aside for a period of time. But you can still be really good. You can still be a phenomenal spouse, and you can be a darn good loan officer or a darn good realtor, right? If you set some other things aside. I didn't see my brothers for a couple of years. I didn't go to Monday Night Football with friends. I don't even have real friends anymore, right? The only friends I have are my wife's friends' husbands, right? So I had to set some things aside because the priority was my family, right? It was my kids. It was the grandkids that I don't know yet. That's what was important to me, that generational wealth, right? Making a change in my family, changing a cycle of my family that needed to change. So prioritizing is going to be huge, but it doesn't mean you have to completely give them up. You can be real good at something, right? And be okay with not being numb on. Just understand what you're up against. Understand there are people out there like me, and you guys can know how to access them, right? You guys can find the top producing people in the country right now. So they're definitely out there. So, but next I want to talk a little bit about accountability, right? So if you set your priorities and you got your priorities set and you want to be the greatest at one thing, you want to be the greatest spouse, well, then you're going to have to put the time into that. It's going to take away from you being the greatest producer, but you got to set your priorities. So, but let's talk about accountability. Now, how do you become accountable to those, right? And this comes into the no excuses piece. This really, really feeds into my no excuses piece of everything because, guys, I mentor a lot of real estate agents. I've mentored a lot of loan officers, and the ones that don't succeed always come through with a very, very similar message. And I always shake my head the moment I hear it, right? And I always hear it on day one or day two, right? So from you guys, I would hear it from you today, literally today, right? And so loan officers come to me specifically and they say, okay, well, Mike, how can I get to your production? You want to get to my production? All right. I said, so you're going to have to start right now, right? Because right now you're starting for 2021. Because anybody I talk to today, any consumer I talk to today, any referral partner I talk to today, they're not closing in 2020 now. They're closing in 2021, right? You already lost 2020 if you weren't there. You want to win 2021 and 2022? You got to start now, right? And you got to stick with it. It's the longevity in these goals. You can't just do it for a couple of months and say, oh, it's not working and kick off, right? And stop it. You got to keep at it. You got to keep at it like it's everything to you. So, but the accountability part is key, right? Because I've always said, I want to be your production. I said, okay, great. You want my production? Let me tell you what you got to do. You have to call 50 realtors a day, every single day, and keep track of them, and then try them back in a week, right? And like 50 a day. That's a lot of today. 50 today. So you got to find 50 people to call today. By the way, realtors easy to call. The ones who are advertising their cell phones are the ones doing business. Easy. Find 50 people, right? Tomorrow you got to find 50 more. And the next day you got to find 50 more. And the next day you got to keep finding 50 every single day. You got to find 50 more. And so people say, okay, well, I got to call 50. What am I going to say to them? I don't know. Hello, my name is Mike. Who cares what you say to them? Start a conversation with them, right? Barry said it earlier. People are going to like you within 10 seconds. You're going to know where you're going. You can either get off the phone with them and go to the next one or what, right? The best way to meet somebody is to say, hi, my name is Mike. That's it. Right now, you will figure, when you have a person on the phone, you're going to figure out what to say. If you're a loan officer, you're going to talk about a product or your turn times or something, right? This cool thing that you do that others don't have. If you're an agent, you're going to talk about how serious you are about going out and making sure you find the perfect home for them. It doesn't matter, right? Because then if they don't send you any business or they don't do this with you, right, you got to have an excuse to call them at a time in the future, and you're going to talk to them about something else. You keep track of what you talked about. But 50 a day. But this is my problem with a lot of you guys. This is my problem with a lot of my loan officers. I tell you exactly what you got to do. I says, right, and what time? It's 12 o'clock my time. It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast with some of you guys right now, right? So your second actionable of the day is to call 50 people. Now, how many of you are going to give me an excuse right now and say, oh, you know what? I'll get that started tomorrow, right? Let me, I got this thing that I got to do today. I promised my wife that I got to go and do that. I'll get that started tomorrow. Well, you're already giving yourself an excuse. Stop it. Do it now. The moment this is over, and this is almost done, right? The moment this is over, pick it up. Grab a listing of agents. Find the agents in your local market if you're a loan officer and call each one of them. They don't answer. It's real simple. You're making a phone call. You're sending a text. You're leaving a voicemail, and you're dropping them an email. And then you follow up next week to see if you can get them on the phone and have something else to say, right? And then you follow up in the week after that. And if you want to do it every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks because you don't want to be as aggressive as I am, that's okay. Then do that. And eventually they drop off and you find 50 more. And before you have to start doing that, though, you're going to have so many relationships that you've started that you're having conversations about with them that you're going to have business starting to flood in. It's not going to happen on the first day. If you're lucky, it will, right? It might not happen in a second. It might not happen in a second week, but if you keep doing it, you'll get there. I guess so many people tell me that, well, I did it, Mike, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I didn't know what to say. I'm like, well, then we're going to have to talk about an IQ problem, because you're not figuring out that you're not doing something right. What's not working, right? Whatever you're saying isn't working, change it, right? Ask other people of opinions, figure something out, but eventually you'll figure out what's not working. Then you'll hear a little bit tidbit of what is working. And when it works, you say that again on the next call. It's real easy, right? You'll get really good at being a phone rep, you know, if you just make those 50 calls every single day. Don't give yourself an excuse though, guys. Don't let yourself off the hook, right? You want to be the best that you can be in 2021. Now's the time. The moment this thing ends is the time. Or are you going to wait until tomorrow and let somebody like me eat your lunch? Because I'm going after it, guys. I'm coming after it. And I teach my own officers to come after it, right? So go take their lunch. Somebody's going to try and take your lunch. Don't let them. Don't let them have it. It's yours. Take that, right? It's yours. So I know I don't want to keep your I went a little quick there, Christine. I want to keep you on schedule and keep everybody on cue there. So I could play your video again, because I had a whole lot to talk about your video. That video was awesome. So you're on mute.
I'm over here talking and no audio coming out. Amateur, I must be at the end of 3 hours. Everybody give Mike Kortas a virtual round of applause. That was awesome. Love seeing Mike speak. Have interviewed Mike on stage in front of 3,500 people in Las Vegas. Like, here's the thing, guys. When I wrote the Blueprint for Success, which is a business plan that has crushed 2 decades with hundreds of originators, I said we all need to compare ourselves in 3 ways. Number 1 is with ourselves. I wrote it in the chat. Number 2 is against the averages, so you know where the water line is. Number 3 is with the number 1 guy. Why did I invite Mike Kortas to this party? Because I know, knowing you guys, knowing people that listen to speakers, that you sit in an audience and you hear what the beasts do. And right away, I already know some people that are like, I wouldn't have sacrificed the 2 years with my family, or I wouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have done that. Well, there's this thing in success, 2 things, that is called the rule of 1. The rule of 1 tells you if you got 1 guy on your team that can get to the top of the mountain, then everybody on your team can get there. So the 1 guy that gets to the top of the mountain, he actually shows you what the odds really are. And as soon as that 1 person on your team gets there, as soon as you see what that 1 guy had to do to scale, it reminds me of the movie Goodfellas, or not Goodfellas, A Few Good Men. And Nicolas Cage is on the stage. It's Jack Nichols, screwing up my words. And he literally says under interrogation, you want me on that wall. You want me on that wall every day. You want me protecting, but you don't like what that looks like. And I can relate to that as an executive leader. Mike is an executive leader. Leadership and being successful sometimes does not happen, often does not happen without sacrifice. And so why do we show you what a number 1 person looks like? Because it is a relativity comparison. For success to happen, you need to know the distance between where you're sitting and the top. And so I love to see Mike's passion. I love to see him crushing his goals. I believe him when he says he's going to have 1,500 people. I want to run with guys like that, by the way. Those are the people that I'm attracted to in business, because those are the people that help me raise my game and raise my bar. So Mike, thank you for showing us what number 1, what the top looks like. Keep doing what you're doing. We know that it takes sacrifice to be successful.
If you don't mind, let me give a shout out. One thing I didn't talk too much about is somebody else to hold you accountable. You got to be accountable, but you got to have somebody else. Like I held myself accountable real well, but Christine, guys, I'm a client, right? She is my executive coach. So, and I meet with her and she reminds me of the things that I'm not doing. And there's a lot of them. I got reminded of a lot of them today. So you got to have somebody who's going to hold you accountable and call you and say, this isn't it. I get texts from Christine all hours of the night, you know, saying, hey, this, don't forget this. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm getting on. So shout out to you guys for what you
Thank
guys
you. And thanks for trusting me to be somebody that will show up and help you be accountable. That's really what it's about, guys. You have an incredible team. Listen, everybody that came today, thank you. Thank you for making it to this point. We're 7 minutes over and we're in a 1 minute wrap up and you're all going to go on with your day. I asked you to do a shout out as this is a free service today. It's us sharing content. We just love those because that's free marketing for us. Let the world know we are bringing great relative content. We're going to continue to do that. We have incredible things coming in 2021. I'm not going to turn any of this into a commercial because this is what I know. If you show up and you show up with success, it speaks for itself. Success attracts success. So I feel like my marketing plan is pretty simple, and that is turn people into success stories and the rest will take care of itself. Of course, we operate over here from a plan. Please follow us out there in all the areas that we're on social media. I do have one personal request. I am newer to Instagram. We've only been on there for a couple of years. I don't have a lot of followers, like 1,400. We would love to have followers over there. We're 2020 Vision for Success over there. So please, if you follow us anywhere and you're not following us on Instagram, please follow us there. And stay tuned. Become a member of our Facebook groups. We have 2020 Vision for Success Coaching Facebook group, and we have Women with Vision. And guys, we welcome you into the Women with Vision. That is about supporting strong women in our industry. But please join our Facebook groups. And I just thank you so much. I thank my team who worked really hard today to put this together. Congratulations to the trivia winners for the books that you're going to get. Stay tuned for our events. Right now, on March 31st of next year, we have under contract the Marriott at the Waterside in Tampa, which is where we hold our annual Vision Summit. We are praying that that event will still take place. If it is for any reason pushed back because of pandemic, I can promise you it's not going to be canceled. The date would be changed. But right now we are full steam ahead to go on that trip. And we would love to see you guys there because we put on an incredible Las Vegas style show when we do our shows. That's it. Go out there, kill it, get those final minutes on the field, guys. Do a great December, and I'll see you all out there. All right. Thanks, everyone.